Welcome in, everybody, on this Monday morning as we lament the fact that the 76ers are down 3-1 in this series against the New York Knicks. It is the headline. It is all the stories in between. It is everything. And here to talk about it with us today is our ray of sunshine, Amy Fadul.
Well, I bring with me a lot of sunshine today. I think it's almost 80 degrees outside.
Pretty nice, isn't it?
Lovely.
Yeah. You were talking about before the show how it's easier to get over a loss when it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You walk out to 80-degree weather.
It was actually like, well, you could at least, the sun was going to help warm you up because that was a pretty devastating one. Instead of going home at the pitch black at 1 o'clock in the morning and just sitting there miring in it, you could at least go out and enjoy, play in the backyard, take your dog for a walk, get a little melatonin.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I told you the game got done. I went right out to my backyard, cleaned off all the furniture that goes out back, got that all set up, put some dogs and burgers on the grill, all that stuff. May have had a cold beverage. So that was all good. I know somebody who had many cold beverages this weekend out west.
Plenty of sun.
Yeah,
as well.
Ray, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back from your, little siesta there.
Hey, it was a nice weekend.
It was a nice
great
weekend.
time.
Good.
Proud of you.
I'm sad that I came home to this.
Yes.
I was really hoping I was coming home to, I wanted the vibe of my weekend to come back and match the vibe of the city. And it just does not because, my, was that tough.
You did your part.
I tried. I got 3 Phillies victories for you. I need us to hold serve here at home, and that just didn't happen.
You went to all 3 games, right?
That's right. They've won 7 in a row
What a
since
life.
I've been there.
Right?
What a life he does have.
Great ballpark.
All right, plenty of stories
Wonderful
to
ballpark.
talk about today, but we got to first get to the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Well, unfortunately, what everybody's talking about is the Sixers down 3-1 after a 97-92 loss to the Knicks. Not smart, not aggressive, not good at key moments of the game. Nick Nurse plays Joel Embiid 44 minutes, including all 24 of the second half. We'll get into that. 47 and 10 for Jalen Brunson. Man, not one person can beat you in an NBA game, but my God, that came close to doing it. 47 points, 10 assists. If you would have told me before the game that Josh Hart was going to go 0 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 3 from 3, and score 4 points, as I labeled him their second best player yesterday during the pregame show, I would have thought you were talking about a win. But it wasn't there. Josh Hart also, oh, by the way, grabbed 17 rebounds yesterday. The Knicks as a team, 15 offensive rebounds, 7 of them coming in the fourth quarter. We're going to break down possessions in the fourth quarter by the Sixers and by the Knicks later on. But, I mean, just devastating offensive rebounds, second possessions by the Knicks in that fourth quarter yesterday. Embiid had 27, Maxey 23, Oubre 19. The last time the Sixers scored a field goal yesterday, I don't know, 5 minutes and 4 seconds to go in the game. That's the last time you're going to score a field goal. Couple free throws there. A really dumb play at the end that we talked about. Like, where are people's heads? And it just bothers me to death. If I'm sitting on my couch, I know nothing about basketball, and I say to my wife, Lowry's going to make the first free throw, try to miss the second so they get an offensive rebound. A half a second later, after I say it, the camera's on Lowry, and he's looking around going, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. It's the right play. It's the obvious play. Hello, Tyrese Maxey. Hello. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Stupid plays in that fourth quarter bother. I've said this before. I can live with not executing, losing games, all of those things. I don't like when you're mentally not in a game, and it bothers me, and they weren't in it a lot yesterday. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Madison Square Garden, a chance for the Knicks to close it out, a chance for the Sixers to make it 3-2. And look, every game in this series has been right there for the taking for both teams. The Knicks have just taken it more. And the Knicks aren't a recently winning organization. They're growing, and they're getting to where they are, and they've got some winning players. It's going to be the theme of today's show. My question is, are the Sixers a winning organization, or are they an organization that doesn't know how to win? Are they a losing organization? And it's not as bad as it sounds like, oh, they're losers. Losers to me is a death word in sports. I don't call people losers. I don't agree with that. I think it's one of the most devastating things you can say. You can be a losing team, a losing player, a losing organization. I think the Sixers are there right now. And it could be easily to get past, or it could be something that hangs over them for even a longer time. The Eagles, it looks like they found their secondary of the future as they went with their first pick, Quinyon Mitchell, second pick, Cooper DeJean. Kind of exciting. You look at highlights of both of them, and maybe it is. Maybe it's your, who was it, Lito Shepherd, Sheldon Brown?
Yep.
Maybe this is that in the future, that these are the guys that are going to be your secondary of the future. Not sure it'll start just next year, but maybe it will. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Howie Roseman does Howie Roseman things. 8 trades, makes 9 picks, but makes 8 trades. And every time my alerts came up, it was like, the Eagles have traded, and it was like, oh, my God. I couldn't tell whether they were getting more picks, losing picks, whether they were planning for next year with all the 2025 action. But they did what they did. The breakdown comes down to 2 corners, 1 edge rusher, and Jalex Hunt, who they took in the 3rd round, that is a real – I love what his old coach said. He's an empty canvas. So that means this kid probably has some talent and needs a lot of work. 2 offensive linemen, a linebacker in Jeremiah Trotter, 2 wide receivers, and a running back. The Phillies, they win 8-6 in San Diego yesterday. Ray was there before he jumped on his red eye to be here with us today. They get the sweep in San Diego as Bryson Stott goes for 2 home runs. JT Realmuto hits another one. Taijuan Walker got his first start of the season, 6 1/3, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Rob Thompson lets him go for 90 pitches. Little surprised at that, but it's a guy who's an innings eater in his past. But first start, 90 pitches. Okay. Was he kind of looking to, I don't know, beat the brakes off of him a little bit because he has Turnbull, who's pitching so well, behind him? Was it just a situation where, yeah, we're going to go with it because you got Christopher Sanchez tomorrow night. You might have to use, meaning tonight, you might have to use your bullpen a little bit more tomorrow. I don't know. But the Phillies bats came through. They've won 19 of their last 27. They've swept 3 of the last 4 series. They now sit at 19-10, setting a record for most wins in April. They play the Angels tonight, 9:38 start. Not 9:40, not 9:35. It's a 9:38 start. Christopher Sanchez on the mound. Alec Bohm, I also have to mention, 3 for 5 yesterday. He's up to 365.
Killing it.
Yeah, love to watch that guy go. So there's your headline front page of the local sports teams and what's going on. And I'll start off with this. Amy, yesterday, I got a phone call from a buddy after the Sixers game, which all of us do. We all talk to our friends. You do post-game, and I'm sure there's some great conversations that go on when the cameras aren't on.
Yes.
And so I had a buddy call me, and he's I'm not going to call him a hater of Joel Embiid, but he's been a guy that has an eye on Joel Embiid more than others in a not positive way. And the call is, Embiid's a loser. I said, no. I said, hold on. He's not a loser. And I said, loser, as I explained, I think is one of the biggest words you can use in character reference of an athlete that I don't like. So the conversation goes on, and it came out he's not a winner. That's what we agreed on. Right now he's not a winner. His teams haven't won when they could because of him. We've seen the playoff misery and all that. Then conversation goes on with other people, and I my wheels start spinning. So I talk to people all over in the organization, used to be in the organization, all this NBA people, blah blah. I just came to the conclusion to myself: right now, the Sixers are a losing organization. And look, I'm not saying they're losers. I'm not saying they can't get out of it. They don't know how to win right now.
Yeah.
And I don't mean right now. I mean right now, the past 5 years. They don't. If that quadruple doink would have gone in, they may have become a winning organization where they get past the second round and they do all these things. But they're just not. I'm sorry, but I think they're not a winning organization.
They haven't learned how to win.
And that's a thing. That's a mental thing, right,
It is
Aim?
a thing. It is a thing. And when you first said that, I cringed just because it's just such a negative connotation.
And I understand you doing that.
And it's just been like, because there's been so much positivity in general. But then if you really look at it, like step away from it and really look at the last couple of years, you can always point to different things. Oh, well, injuries. Oh, well, you ran into the Celtics. Whatever it is. There's always been something holding them back. And so then you have to start to look at the big picture. They went through the whole process. They went through the losing, and now they've come out on the other side. But you wonder if in that process, for lack of a better word, they didn't learn a few things. Did they skip a few steps? Whether it was personnel, whether it was front office, some kind of overview. Because when you look at teams that are winning organizations, they don't have the holes that the Sixers have had in the last couple of years. They might have a dip. The Warriors obviously have had some dips. Maybe they've hung on to some of their star players long. But that's a winning organization.
Right.
And there's no doubt, I think, in people's minds when you look at those that are dipped down, they think, well, they're going to be back. You just don't doubt it. And then you look at, like, we'll say the Knicks, for example. They were mired away in just nothingness.
Right.
But they seem to have I don't look at that team and think, wow, I think that's a winning team right now. I don't know if it's a full-on winning organization. I know some of the front office guys.
Yes, exactly.
Those guys tend to lean into a winning type of environment. Those are guys that are very driven, and obviously a lot of them are Jersey guys between Leon Rose and Worldwide West. But I would look at their outlook as a more positive outlook than I probably would 5 years ago. And I don't know that you say that for the Sixers, which is disappointing because there has been so much positivity. But you really take a step back, and you're wondering, was there a step missed? Like, how did we get to this point? How did we get here?
Right. And in the Villanova players, in Brunson, in Hart, in DiVincenzo, you have winners. Like, they're winners. They went to Villanova. Look, before they won championships there, it was a very good Division I basketball school. It became a powerhouse under those guys in a way that Jay Wright built that program of, I don't go recruit guys that are ready for the NBA. I recruit guys that I think I can get so much better that they will play in the NBA. Jalen Brunson, I didn't see this kind of career coming from him. Josh Hart, my God, like I did a story. I hung with them for a couple of days to do specifically a story on Josh Hart and how he may translate to the NBA. He stayed, let's not forget, that 1 year. Instead of coming out, he stayed his last year there because, quite simply, nobody thought he was really ready for the NBA. He grew into a winner, into a better player under Jay Wright, under that tradition that is Villanova basketball. And so I'm talking to people yesterday saying, why? Why is this Sixers organization not a winning one now? We'll go with not a winning one instead of a losing one.
Thank
because
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not a winning one. And mostly everybody said you got to go right to the top. It rubs people the wrong way that Josh Harris not only owns the Sixers, but also owns the Devils, also owns the Commanders, also owns a soccer team over in England, English football club team called the Crystal Palace, yeah. Okay, is it absentee ownership? Is it like, all right, people know that he's not fully in on just the Sixers? I don't know. That might be a problem among employees there. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things. Do winning organizations handle injuries the way the Sixers have handled injuries over the past 7 years? Now, look, I feel bad for them incurring all these injuries, but I certainly don't think they handled it well either. So there's just a lot of things, but we'll get to the game of yesterday first before we go over the overview of where is this organization. And I'll ask you, Aim, Tuesday night, we're not all feeling very good right now about the Sixers, but like you said, if you can sit back and look at tomorrow night and what you think might happen or what could happen.
I do think that there are winning players on this team, and I think that will help define how Game 5 goes. I think you have to have those guys. And a winning player is Kyle Lowry. He's a winning player. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think there's guys that have shown that they can be winners. I think even though he plays such a smaller role on this team, Cam Payne is a winning type of player. So you need to lean into I think there's guys that can be those guys.
Sure.
They haven't learned how to do it yet, whether it's been scenario or the teams they've been on or their roles. I think Kelly Oubre could be a winning type of player. I think Tyrese Maxey has shown that he can be a winning type of player. And I'm not going to say that Joel Embiid is not a winning type of player yet. I'm not going to put that on him. But so far you're thinking, what have you done for me lately? And right now you're going off of Game 4, and then you start to think about the other games. Then you're thinking about Game 1, and then you're going back to last year, and then you're thinking about the Celtics series. And then so it does start to kind of creep in.
Yeah.
I don't feel overly negative about Game 5. I just wish it wasn't at the Garden, just because we already saw all the Knicks fans here, so I don't really want to be around them again. I don't want to see them on my screen anymore. I never thought I had that level of disdain for the Knicks, but it's here. It's arrived.
So you showed me something on your phone when you got in today.
Oh, this is bad.
Is this – are you all right doing it?
Yeah,
okay.
this is good.
All right, so we talk about, like I said, Conversations yesterday, I will not say anybody's a loser unless, it has to be an extreme. Not a winner yet. I'll even throw the yet on there. Not a winner yet do I label Joel Embiid. Winner of MVP, great. Winner of, multiple awards and a great, great player, no question. But more times than not, when the team needs him to become winners, he's not there. And what do you have on your phone there, Aim?
All right, so Joel Embiid is the fourth player in the last 25 postseasons with multiple games in the same series to shoot 0 for 5 or worse in the fourth quarter. He joins Hedo Turkoglu in 2009 against, listen to the companies in. Hedo Turkoglu, no offense, 2009 against the Celtics. C.J. McCollum, who I love, 2019 against the Warriors. Of course, that was against the Warriors. And then Paul George, 2018 against the Jazz. And then now 2024, Joel Embiid against the Knicks. Those are all nice players. Obviously, I think Paul George better than a nice player, but they're not MVPs. You don't look at any of those players and say that they are the leader of their team.
No, that they're going to have the ability to take over or carry their team when necessary.
So when I'm looking at those players like a Hedo Turkoglu, Paul George, C.J. McCollum, those are guys that are probably trying to fight their team back. They're out there. They're putting up shots. They're not looked at as the clutch guy, the guy that's going to save them, the guy that's going to turn that series around. 2 games in a same series of 0 for 5 or more in the fourth quarter, and that's obviously what we saw yesterday. You mentioned it. There was one bucket at the 5:04. Kelly Oubre had the dunk.
Yep.
No more buckets after
that. Was it. And the offense looked stagnant. The offense got bad. The questions arise about should you have played Embiid? I understood what Nick Nurse was doing. Now, remember it. It's the end of the third quarter, and I think Lowry's trying to do like a spinning jump shot. He collides knees with Jalen Brunson.
Right.
Brunson limps off, and anybody who's ever done that's smart, like for lack of a better term. That does hurt. Understood the pain he was in. He goes off the floor, doesn't start the fourth quarter. I said, okay, I see what Nurse is trying to do here. Their best players hobbled. Let's capitalize on it because that's probably the part where you normally would sit. It's definitely the part where you normally would sit Embiid. So I understood it. They didn't take advantage of it. You brought up that fourth quarter, Joel Embiid, 0 for 5 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3, had a 3 blocked.
Yes.
Blocked, where I thought, all right, the time was running out, but if he'd have pump faked there and leaned in, better chance he could have gone to the line, whatever. Anyway, Embiid, fourth quarter, once again, 1 for 2 from the foul line, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 steals,
You have
and
to
a
remember
block.
also, Isaiah Hartenstein did not
Off the
play.
floor.
When he was off the floor, they went small ball, right? You have 6'8", 6'7", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2". That's who they were rocking with. And they got 73% of their offensive rebounds when Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't on the court.
Yeah.
That's just mind-blowing.
And
mind-blowing.
did we see Embiid posting up most of that fourth quarter? No, I saw a lot of him in the corner. A couple of times I was like, wait, where is he offensively? Oh, he's over there. He must be coming off a pick from the corner or something.
And rolled it. No. Yeah, it was tough. I get why they played him because coming into that game, the previous 3 games, when he was not on the court, 31 minutes he had not played coming in. They were a minus 38.
Yeah, and Nick Nurse.
I get it.
Yeah, I get
it's
it too.
It's tough, but I get it.
And Nick Nurse had a great line about it that we're going to get to when we come back about how the team played yesterday and has been playing without Joel Embiid on the floor. A lot to talk about. Can't wait to hear from you. 610-632-0975. We already have a lot of people holding on the line. We will get to you as soon as we get back. If you want to text, 610-632-0975. Where is this organization right now? And maybe this should be the conversation for after the series is over. But I'm sorry, it's the idea in my head that right now this Sixers organization is not a winning one. 610-632-0975. Amy Fadul's with us all day long. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Hey, welcome back. Monday morning, Amy Fadul in the house as we talk about a devastating Sixers loss yesterday. As the fourth quarter just goes by, and I don't know what's going on.
Not a lot of juice. Not a lot of juice.
No juice?
They only lost that game by 5.
Yeah.
I mean, but it felt like in that fourth quarter that they were losing by double digits the entire time. There was no point in my mind in the last probably, even though they had scored, I would say the last probably half of it. 9 minutes ago, I thought, no, doesn't feel good.
It didn't feel good. You're right.
Didn't feel like a win.
And Nick Nurse decides to go with Joel Embiid. And, we're questioning as it goes on, and rightfully so, because and I think the announcers or somebody said, like, is his fourth quarter the way he's playing because he's played so many minutes? I mean, he went 44 minutes yesterday.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And Nick Nurse was asked about Joel Embiid, being on the floor, and what are you doing as far as playing him all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter? And here's what he had to say.
I mean, he was feeling good and wanted to go. So I think it's, these games are all must win. And we didn't have a very good stretch when he was out in the first half. So we were willing to continue on.
Willing to continue on playing him. Look, I'm all about you got your best players, put them on the floor.
Said, I feel okay. He asked Joel Embiid, how you feeling? I feel okay.
I'm not going to question it. I'm not. I understood it. I understood it at the time.
There's such a minus when he's not out on the court.
There is.
A minus 30. He's 31 minutes he's missed in the previous 3 games, and they were minus 38.
Right.
That's a huge, huge chunk.
Absolutely huge. So you keep him in there in the fourth quarter.
But yeah.
And Joel Embiid does absolutely nothing. 0 for 5 from the floor, makes 1 free throw, grabs 1 rebound. It comes into question. Is that a winner? Is this organization a winning organization? Because they've left us, and I have a whole 2 pages of questions for Amy that I'll throw out there today. Kind of rhetorical, but we need answers to them to see if this organization knows how to win. Earl in Cherry Hill has some thoughts. Earl, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Amy. Enjoy listening to you.
Thanks, buddy.
So I just want to address the season ticket holders issue and the tickets with the Sixers. And I have to preface it by saying the Sixers organization is a great organization. They sold out every game, 41 games, the whole 9 yards. It's nothing to do with the team. It's all about the money. And the issue with that is, and you're talking about the price of the tickets since the process has over tripled. Now, I happen to be a person that can afford it, and, I'm up near the court, but that's not about me. But the issue is that it's so expensive. And the playoff tickets, for example, have gone up double for the first round. 30% for the first round, double for the second round, triple for the third round, and quadruple for the final. That's just the cost of the tickets. And the actual tickets themselves have gone up since the process. So you have season ticket holders that were loyal through the process, right? And it's gone up over triple. Now, the free market's the free market. Hey, you don't like it, or too bad, don't go to the game. Well, that's not really an answer, because the issue is it's about the money. So and it's not me in particular because mine's way higher than this, but let's take a $200 ticket holder, okay, where they're spending $200 for 2 seats, that's $400. And you can get 50% on the sale of the playoff tickets.
So, Earl, are you an advocate for this as a winning organization, or are you saying this is part of the problem, or I'm not really getting where you're going with this?
It's the free market.
Okay, Earl, thanks so much for the call. I'm sorry. Was I a little lost there?
I think he's saying the organization isn't winning or losing, but it's just more about money for them. I think is what I took away from that.
Okay, and if you're looking at this organization as far as profitability, oh my God, the value of the team has gone up unbelievably so since Josh Harris and company have taken over. Yes, they sell out. Yes, they're looking to build a $600 quadrillion new arena downtown. All of that. That all breeds success and all. But when it comes onto the basketball court, when you get between the lines and you're 94 feet, is this a winning organization? I'll ask you another question. A winning organization, do they have what happened with Ben Simmons happen?
Simmons and James Harden.
Believe me, it's on the list. We're
Yeah.
going to go down individually
no,
here.
Well, yeah.
You
that's the thing.
had a 3-time All-Star
You've got
in
a
him.
bunch of stuff. And, like, listen, and you go back, and I'm going to be, like, nitpicking, be like, oh, well, Ben Simmons is a special guy because he obviously just hates basketball or something. I don't know what's going on with him. But then you have to go back. You're like, okay, well, then before that, you drafted Markelle Fultz. And then before that, you had guys that you're waiting for. You missed on a couple of draft picks. So then it starts to snowball. So then the idea that they are not a winning organization does start to really, like, think, you're like, well, there's that, and then there's that, and it piles on. I think it's the all-encompassing that really makes you pause on it.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm looking back. I'm not looking at yesterday and saying
No.
this. I'm looking back of, is there other things that contribute to yesterday,
like
too?
Simmons contributes. There's no one in the world that had the number one pick. No team that wasn't going to take him. Everybody agreed across the board. And he was a 3-time All-Star, obviously in the all-defense, a potential all-defensive type of player, defensive player of the year. I think that people thought about him in that conversation. What happened along the way?
Yeah.
What happened?
What
was it
happened?
always going to happen? Or was it just the Sixers' bad luck that it happened with them?
And look, I was an advocate for it. I don't think this guy likes basketball.
No.
You need to get rid of him, whatever. Why did it get to that? Like, if he's with a winning organization,
Do they recognize it sooner?
Does that even happen? All I keep thinking of, like San Antonio, they would have gotten him aside and said, like, all right, look, here's what we're doing. Why don't you like this? Do you like that? Whatever. I don't think that would have happened with a winning organization.
I don't think they would have let him dictate everything. Remember, it was like, we want you to work with our shooting coach or a shooting coach or any shooting coach. And he was like, I want to work with my brother. I don't think certain organizations would allow the player to dictate when they see him struggling.
And that was a problem that when I was covering the team that we had a lot of discussions with a lot of people of, and it was a question. Do they let Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons pretty much do whatever they want? It's a legitimate question.
I mean,
Amy, you've been there. I've been there. Is that what winning organizations do?
to an extent, but they earn it. You know what I mean? So, like, LeBron James earns, he can do whatever. He's LeBron James. So you have to, like, I think there's tiers to it. So, yeah,
Yes.
Right? There's tiers to it.
You're not granted it right away.
No, you have to earn it. You have to prove that you can be that guy with that level of responsibility to take care of stuff on your own. Ben Simmons shooting the way he did not prove anything that he was going to be able to have his own shooting coach. His shooting coach obviously didn't help him. We all saw the summer Instagram videos. They went nowhere. They never translated. And at some point, you had to realize, okay, well, we're in over it. This guy's just not. He's out.
Yeah. 10 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, a lot of the talk yesterday went to Joel Embiid playing those 48 minutes in the second half. And he was asked about, what did you think? He didn't seem to be in good offensive position to me in that fourth quarter when he went 0 for 5. Well, this is what he had to say about that.
No, we just, I thought, our pace kind of slowed down, so that hurt us a little bit. And then, but I thought for the most part, we got good shots, and we just didn't make them. And then, we kept, playing, and, and they kept doubling, and I felt like we just kept making the right plays, and we just didn't make them.
Yeah, we watched it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. We had the breakdown of basically I think it started at the very end of the third, and we went through probably like 10 possessions right and through the fourth up until they stopped scoring.
Right.
And then, so those, to see why they look different. And then we looked at the possessions after the 5-minute mark when Kelly Oubre had the dunk, and that was it. There were some good looks. Maxey had a good look at the top of the key for the three. Maxey had a decent look, a shot that he's made in the past with a fadeaway. It's a tough shot, but he's made it in the past. And so, like, okay, well, those aren't bad. And then you start to really look around at the rest of the plays, and I'm like, they're not terrible shots, but they're not great shots.
No.
They weren't terrible. They were good shots that have gone in at times.
Right. But the execution I didn't love.
There was no movement on the offense.
No movement.
You heard him say it. Slowed it down. Who wants to play slow basketball? The Knicks
New York
do.
Knicks. Yeah,
that's why it was 97-92.
Exactly. That final score is such a New York Knicks score. And if we're talking about Joel Embiid in the last quarter, well, we have to bring up Tyrese Maxey also. 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. He did have a free throw, which came off of that offensive foul, or that foul that was committed on Kyle Lowry, and 1 assist. There's a lot to point to. They were 6 for 24 in the last quarter. They gave up 7 offensive rebounds.
And that's the thing. It wasn't like the Knicks blew the doors off the fourth quarter. The Knicks scored 20 in the quarter. 20. The Sixers only scored 16. Of the 20, Jalen Brunson had 9 points of the 20. Emblematic, really, of the 47 of the 97. But 9 of the 20 came from him. Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey combined for 6 in the final frame. So when you're looking for things, the Knicks obviously dictated the pace. They obviously dictated the offense. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, and the Sixers fell right into it because they were frustrated. I don't think that you heard that kind of enunciated, but to me, that's what I saw on the court, especially in those last 5 minutes. It wasn't like the Knicks were scoring at will.
No.
20 points in the final frame, and you lose a game by 5.
They left Josh Hart open.
Well, as you should.
As you should. And he went 0 for 7, 0 for 3.
But he affects the game.
He didn't have a field goal.
Yeah.
I know. And he had no field goals in this game. Think about this. And he was better than a handful of Sixers players yesterday.
Yeah.
A handful.
Easily.
Unbelievable. Billy and Charleston, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Billy?
Hey, how you doing, Bob? How you doing, Amy?
Hi, Billy.
Hey, it's Joey, but sorry.
Joey?
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, okay. They had Billy up on the board. All right. Sorry, Joe.
Hey, so I was just, something you said earlier, I've been thinking about for a long time about how Josh Harris, you know, he's the owner of 4 professional franchises, and not to mention, you know, when he bought the Commanders, I was like, how are you going to be all in on a Philadelphia team and go down and, you know, I may be reading more into that than, you know, it is, but I relate it to, I saw Jeffrey Lurie when they picked Jeremiah Trotter, and, you know, he was in tears, you know, thinking, you know, bringing in Eagles legend son, and it just shows how much he cares. And I wonder, you know, it starts with ownership down, even in the small business like I work in. And, you know, that's really all I have to say.
No, it means a lot, Joey. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Owner, it's one of the first subjects I brought up in looking at the overview of this organization. Ownership. You know, he mentioned just the Commanders. Let's not forget the New Jersey Devils. Oh, they also own the Commanders Field. Like, they're part of that, and I think they're going to get a new one there.
They are.
They're also owners of the Prudential Center. Now, that entitles everything, not just when the New Jersey Devils play. That's everything there. And then a general partner over of the English Football Club, Crystal Palace, another something there. You mentioned it earlier. You had Josh Harris's wife at Game 3 the other night. At night of the draft.
It's a big game.
Night of the NFL draft. You know, like, I don't know. Look, it doesn't matter to me. Do I care if Josh Harris is at a game or whatever? No, but I'm sure it matters to a lot of his employees.
Winning would cure everything, and that they're not doing that. Then we have to start looking as to why. I think that's the thing. If you look at a team and people are like, I don't even know who owns whatever, whoever it is, you probably don't care because either that team is completely mired down and it's not important to you, or they are a winning organization and it's never occurred to you. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think when you're really dissecting, look at the Heat. I feel like that's a winning organization.
Absolutely, and you can feel it.
And it starts all at the top and
Yep.
it permeates all the way down.
Pat Riley.
There's no doubt about, like, on draft night, everybody's like, oh, it's like when the Spurs are drafting somebody. Like, well, I'm sure that guy's going to be a star. If you guys see somebody drafted by the Heat, you're like, well, that guy's going to annoy me for the next 10 years. You just know it. It just, the confidence you feel.
Exactly.
Because that's how they roll. Celtics, obviously, that goes without saying. Warriors and things like that. But I feel like it has to start at the top and then trickle down. If you have an owner that's not as invested, and the guy brought up, you know, the example of Jeffrey Lurie, who's obviously all in. He's all in on the Birds. It's great. You know, he knows the importance of these players. If you don't have that, you have to have it every other aspect. And I don't know where the Sixers stand right now.
Exactly. And if you don't know, in my book, you can't label it as winning. Yeah. If you just don't know, watch how the Spurs will handle Wembanyama. I'll bet you it'll be a guide as to how maybe the Sixers should have handled Embiid.
Right.
You know, something like that. Injuries, you know, we have to put that aside. But, all right, when we get back, not only will we take all your calls, so you guys sit tight that are there, we have a couple of texts. Ray's getting some, something on Twitter. People are coming back at him a little bit. But also, I have a question for you, because I'm big about a microcosm of a game. So I'm going to ask that question to you when we get back. Amy Fadul's here all day long. Midday shows, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Hey, welcome back. Middays, Bob Cooney. We're joined by Amy Fadul today as we talk everything and all things Sixers. Obviously, we're going to go particular into the game yesterday, which we have been doing. But my thought coming out of yesterday was just an overview. Like, is this a winning organization? Does this Sixers organization know how to win? Because I just don't look in playing sports and following sports, all of those things. Sometimes you just looked at teams and you said, you know what? I don't have to worry all that much about them because they're going to find a way. We have to beat them, yes. But, I mean, I used to use this on this one team that we played when I was playing sports as an adult. And it was like, we don't have to beat you guys. You're going to beat yourselves. Right. All we have to do is play our game. We're going to beat you. And like, I said it, and it went in my mind like, oh, my God, I was right. I was kind of just trying to bust stones, but it became – I think the Sixers are kind of that team. Like, teams don't have to necessarily just beat them because – they're probably not going to go win a game.
Yeah, you have to know how to win. And this is across all sports. I think that every level, in every sport, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, everything, soccer, you can point to a team, an organization, and think they don't know how to win. And if you go to the NFL, I think there's 5 or 6 teams that immediately come to mind. Like they could have the perfect storm. They get the best quarterback. They have the coaches and whatever else. They just don't know how to win. Until you get over that hump, until you can become that team, you will always have the question, can you win the series, whatever it is? Can you win in the playoffs? Can you win the big game? Because you haven't shown us that you have. You don't know how to do it. Yeah. You haven't learned.
If we were sitting back and being honest with ourselves when we're looking at a Sixers team that needs to win a game, I just have the feeling that most sit back and say, yeah, I don't have confidence.
Yeah. And that comes from not just the series. It is.
It's not just the series, Amy, exactly. And that's not my point today. I just wonder if this organization knows how to win. I'll go through some more of the stuff that I wrote down through the years that may lend to why they're not able to win these big games on the basketball court. Joe in Mayfair, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Joe? I hit the wrong button.
There you go.
Wait a second.
No, you lost.
There we go. Joe, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, Amy and Mr. Groom. You're talking about the organization, and you're probably not going to like my views on this. But we'll go to yesterday's game first. When did Hartenstein get his 5th foul?
He got them all in the third quarter. He got 5 fouls in the third quarter.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you there?
Okay. No, I heard the click again for me to come on the air again. So
sorry about that.
No, you're on 5. He had all 5 in the third.
Okay. So half-court basketball, you can't clog up at the top, correct? You can't for ball movement to actually happen, you can't have your big man at the top. So when Hartenstein gets his 5th foul, logic would say in a half-court game that your big man should not be playing as a combo guard. He should be at the elbow down to create space. Double teams will come his way. You swing the ball around the top, and you can either shoot it, or when someone runs at you, you drive to the lane, which creates space. Every year, guys, except for the Jimmy Butler year when he bailed them out a couple of times, Joel Embiid refuses to play from the elbow down in big moments. He plays at the top. It was him.
Or yesterday, even in the corner, right, Joe?
Correct.
Yesterday, he was like hiding in a corner. Not that he was hiding, but.
No, and you can't tell me that he was gassed because a gassed individual doesn't try to be a combo guard guarding Jalen Brunson from end to the other end, doesn't let his teammate know that I'm letting him go, and then Jalen Brunson turns around and says, no one's guarding me, I'm going to score. The mental IQ of a basketball player has to be there in big moments. I don't want to hear about I'm playing 44 minutes. That's the NBA. Suck it up. You scored 50 the other day when you were just shooting the ball and not trying to over-dribble or not trying to do too much, and you were at the top shooting a quick 3, or you got the ball at the foul line and made a quick move.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Appreciate the call,
welcome.
buddy. I appreciate it a lot. I don't know what's going on here with the lines.
Yeah,
but they're all messed up here. It might be my fat fingers, so we'll see what happens. Well, I couldn't hang up, Ray. I don't know what to tell you. Ray's telling me to calm down. I couldn't hang up.
Bob's all fired up today.
He is all fired up. I like to start out of the gates fired up.
I am. I'm surprised at the conclusion that I've come to from yesterday to this morning, talking to a lot of people.
You're not alone in that. As I mentioned, there was a gentleman that I know and that you know very well. Has been around basketball for longer than you and I have been alive. He's seen it all, and he came to the conclusion yesterday that this team breaks hearts repeatedly for decades. It took him a long time to get there, but he got there.
Yeah, and look, I'm not coming down on the Sixers organization by yesterday's loss. What I'm saying is there a mentality around the organization now that is not a winning one? That it's almost like you go into a game, and I've been around players and talked to them about this. You're in a game and you're like, okay, how are we going to lose this one? As opposed to how are we going to win this one?
Right.
You're waiting for the bad to happen. Like that's a minor thing, but I think if we grow the bigger picture, I think that's what we're looking at.
Right.
I'll bring up another one for you. Do winning organizations have the Jimmy Butler situation play out the way it did?
No.
It was right there for you. And it came down between ownership wanting to keep Jimmy Butler or wanting to keep Brett Brown. And look at the decision you made. Winning organizations make the right decision. And you brought in Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
I can't imagine what would have happened if Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were together for 3 or 4 years. It's just another thing. All right, when we get back, we have some texts from you. All your phone calls we'll look at also. The question I want to pose to you is this. If you had a play yesterday that is a microcosm of what happened in that 97-92 loss, I would love to hear it. I'll give you mine when we get back. Amy will give you hers if she has one, and we'll talk all about that. 610-632-0975. Amy Fadul's here all day. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. little bit more on this. But if there was a microcosm, if there was a play that was a microcosm of yesterday's loss, it came to me on this play. And I talked about it a little bit earlier. It was when Kyle Lowry was shooting his second foul shot late in the game, and the Sixers needed to get possession. Now, look, you can look at it, and I agree with you, look at it and say, well, they really didn't have a chance to win there. Totally understand that, totally accept it. However, he gets fouled immediately. Me and probably hundreds of thousands of other people around the Delaware Valley said, all right, you got to make the first and miss the second on purpose. I'm sure everybody said it. And then the camera goes to Kyle Lowry, and he's looking back at everybody going, I got to miss the second one. Looks at Nick Nurse first, then looks around. He's going, I'm missing the second one. I'm missing the second one. Trying to be discreet about it, but no kidding. Makes the first one, great. Misses the second one, it gets tapped out. And you're looking at feet back there. And I see, I think it was Brunson or somebody's feet. I see that person going after the ball. And I see the person with the home uniform, his feet take a step back and then stand still and don't go after the ball.
Literally froze.
Froze. And it's like Kyle Lowry turns around to Tyrese Maxey and says, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I didn't know you were going to miss it on purpose. What?
But even
if you didn't know he was missing on purpose, you're going after the ball.
My problem is that's emblematic of the game, and that's why that's a good play.
That's it right there.
Because they made such good strides in the rebounding department from game 1 to game 2. And game 3. Games 2 and 3, I don't think anybody was, all right, look, I know they lost game 2, but rebounding was infinitely better than game 1. They reverted back to the standing flat-footed, watching the ball to see where it might go. Every time you do that, you watch the ball go right into a Nick hand.
Yeah.
Every single time. So, yeah, even if he didn't know you're going to miss it on purpose, who cares? He missed it. Like, purpose or not, it's just bad.
Yeah,
it was
really bad. Do you have one? Do you have a play?
I do.
Oh,
So I had to pull it up just because I want to see what the measure of the game was. So it was at 8:20. Joel Embiid comes up with a monster block. Good times. Get something going.
I love how Amy says that. Good times.
We're thinking good times, fresh. No, because of course, off of the block, Josh Hart comes up with the rebound. So he blocks it. Josh Hart gets it. Precious Achiuwa misses the layup right there. Right? Remember that?
Yep.
Achiuwa gets the rebound. So here we go. And then Anunoby dunks. The problem I have with that is that I'm looking at a guy 6'4", 6'7", and 6'8". That's the problem I have with that.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And then, Sixers call timeout, and then they have a great possession. I thought a little poke pass into Tobias Harris, and he misses the 1-foot layup. And it was like, of course he did.
And for those that aren't watching, Amy is sinking down into her very soul.
What are we doing? What are we doing? You have either small ball lineup and you're getting destroyed on the glass. You're getting destroyed with your second chance points. And then you go down in a golden opportunity, which would have made it 86-83. You don't get it.
Yeah.
That was to me, just the small ball lineup frustrated me in the fact that you did not take advantage of the inside.
When I look at games, and it's everybody watches them differently, right? If you're a great athlete, you probably watch the athleticism and say, God, he should have done that and all. And we all can watch that, but you'll have a better feeling as a great athlete. I was always a mind guy. Like, that's how I had to compete because I wasn't as athletic as everybody else. And I found that I might have had a little bit of an advantage because I saw things differently and thought it out. That's why when I watch games, I can't stand stupidity.
Right.
I can't. And I'm sorry, Tyrese Maxey, love you to death. You made a stupid play.
Right.
How you are just standing there, and I hear everybody, anybody that's saying the game was already over, I understand that. Not my point. My point is the head wasn't in the game, and that's a microcosm of that fourth quarter to me. I don't know how many times I must have said out loud. They're just not smart. They're not playing smart at times.
No.
Too many lapses of lack of aggressiveness and lack of IQ.
And physicality, to me, I just felt like they didn't match it. And I don't mean that as far as like the fighting. We all know that's how that was going to go and whatever. It's going to be ticky-tack as far as these guys being real chippy to each other. But that goes with the boxing out. That goes with the want to as far as the rebounding. They didn't assert their physical presence. The Sixers are, on paper, a bigger team.
Yep.
And you don't see it.
No.
They don't. Even if you don't get there's not even like chances for the rebounds. It's not like they're fighting for the rebounds. It's just you look up and all you see is a Nick jersey. He's the only one that's really going for it. And that to me was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing? They lost all train of thought from 2 to 3 as far as the games.
On the official box score, it'll say in the fourth quarter that New York had 7 offensive rebounds. And it has all the players and who had what. And that. I don't think it includes team offensive rebounds. Like how many times the ball went off of a Sixer
Right.
and they regained possession again. I had that. I counted up. I did play-by-play in the fourth quarter game all on my own. I counted up 11 times that New York got second possessions in that fourth quarter. 11. Like, it's horrible. Joe in Southampton, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Joe?
Very disappointed fan here. I'm very disappointed. I've been following them and the Warriors. I go back 70 years, and this just keeps on happening, and I don't know what they're going to do going forward.
No, and they have a lot of questions, Joe. Like they have one guy under contract for next year as of right now, and that's Joel Embiid.
Well, I know two. I don't want Mr. Harris and Mr. Heel could be sent packing. That would be a start.
Yeah, I mean, and it wouldn't surprise me. Thanks so much, Joe. Appreciate your call. I don't
think there's anybody that thinks that Tobias Harris is coming back to the Sixers.
No.
I don't think that. I think Tobias Harris included. I don't think there's a soul that there was some thought of like, oh, if he like really shows out in the playoffs, like does what Tobias Harris is supposed to do to match the contract or literally anything. I think there's some thought of like, oh, well maybe you like sign him on like, a team friendly deal. That's obviously gone out the window.
Yeah. It
was a very small thought, but it's gone.
And watching the playoffs, when you watch other games, because we all do, and, you go up until 9 o'clock at night on a weekend, it's great watching all these playoffs. And then you watch this one team, and this guy's making shots, and it's like winning organizations, which is the theme today, winning organizations don't not see the talent that Isaiah Joe just may bring you that you've been looking to surround Joel Embiid with forever, and that's outside shooting.
Well, you don't even have to go. So the thing with the Isaiah Joe is that he was here and that you didn't see it to the degree that maybe someone else did. I also go back to Mikal Bridges. Talk about a winning player.
Oh, it's on the list.
Like you drafted him. He was here, and you thought, I'm too smart for my own good. And then when that happens, dumb things happen. That to me is like, talk about a quintessential player. The thing why the Knicks work right now is because Jalen Brunson is the perfect player for that system, for that team, the way they run. He's not going to beat you in a track meet. He doesn't need to. They run half court, and he's going to crush you. Josh Hart is perfect for that system. You don't need to score a bunch of points. Just get all the rebounds. 21 double-doubles.
Unbelievable.
He's 6'4".
He had 17 rebounds yesterday. You tell me he's getting that on talent, on jumping ability? No, it's want. Yeah. It's want. He wants to get it.
And he's good at it.
He is really good at it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, Aim. Dan in Harleysville, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, Dan.
So, to me, look, you just mentioned it with the Josh Hart thing. Like, the guy's 6'4", he's an inch taller than I am. Like, that's a relatively normal-sized guy. Like, he wants those rebounds, and he's getting those rebounds. I think the issue is, like, the Knicks are clearly basketball players, and the Sixers are clearly guys who play basketball. Like, they're not smart basketball players.
I agree with you, Dan, at times. Let's say at
overall.
Times. Yeah, like there's too many lapses of low basketball IQ for the Sixers, right?
Right, and I don't think it's coincidental that you got a guy like Hart, you got a guy like DiVincenzo, and you got a guy like Brunson, who are all very smart basketball players because they were taught how to position their bodies for rebounds, and they were taught how to play the game of basketball by a really good coach in college. So, like, they need to identify guys who are basketball players and stop signing guys who play basketball, or else you're going to continually get outworked and outpositioned and outsmarted every single year, because that's what happens, and that's what's been happening this entire time.
So how do you label this organization, Dan?
I mean, it can't be any higher than a D, right? I mean, they went through this whole process and got literally nothing to speak of out of it. So that's call it fate, call it bad choices, call it, basketball gods not liking the process.
Call it what you want, but it ain't good, right, Dan? Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
He brings up a good point about bringing players in to fit a system. You wonder how much different they might draft now that Nick Nurse is here. Is it a different philosophy behind it? Because, Thibodeau he is a rebounding guy. They're the hard-nosed physicality, and they brought in players to match that. Obviously, Nick Nurse is coming in with the players already here. There is a chance for a fresh slate. One player officially under contract. It's Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Obviously, I think that they're going to try to sign Tyrese Maxey, I don't think that's going to be
Right.
a secret. There's going to be people. He's going to have a decent contract. What do you do?
Yeah.
Does he fit-
What do you do? I mean, was the hope that Buddy Hield showed you something and maybe you give him a few years? Well, that seems to be out the window. Campaign could be a
Campaign.
guy you bring back.
Listen.
I mean, that's not a difference chance. That's a bench player.
Right.
You know?
Here's
Very
an
good.
energy
Oh,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah, here's an
exactly.
energy guy. He's been there. He's been to the finals before with the Suns, which is a team we could talk about later.
I'll give you a more recent one. Do winning organizations pay $30 million for 3 years for a 37-year-old non-offensive player that you brought in just because you wanted to get tougher?
PJ Tucker, everyone.
I mean, when that move was made, you weren't at the station yet, Ray, but
It
we're
was.
all sitting here like, you really?
Well, and that was dictated because I think that there was the idea, and there is the idea, and it's a true one, where the Sixers were not tough enough, and they felt
No
like
question.
Exactly. So they specifically said PJ Tucker, you can't give him and for no fault of his own, he has one role. You can't give him that contract. Then with the player op, like that's laughable.
He was in your starting five for a guy that couldn't score.
Yeah, he'll get
Like,
you 1-3.
a little bit.
Yeah, he'll get you 1-3 maybe.
And you paid him $10 million because I said
needed
it
the toughness.
exactly at the time. I can find somebody and make them tough. You could draft somebody that's tough that could, bring a toughness to the team occasionally. I didn't need P.J. Tucker out on the floor for 27 minutes a night, giving you absolutely nothing offensively and toughing out 3 loose balls a game or
Yeah.
something?
We would always joke that you just wrap PJ Tucker in bubble wrap and you unwrap him in April. That's the only reason you needed him. You were so convinced from how your playoffs went the year before that you were like, you overpaid on a guy that you thought you needed you only
Right.
needed him for April, May. That's when you need him.
Right.
You didn't need him for January.
You come by a guy like P.J. Tucker.
Yeah.
Like, you find that guy or you grow that guy. You do not pay $30 million over 3 years when he's 37 years old to say, oh, this is the guy that's going to put us over the top.
And I think that was proven when PJ Tucker moved on and you saw, how much he doesn't even, at some points, he wasn't even with the Clippers.
Yeah.
He wasn't even with the team at different times because he
Yeah.
was just like not being used at all.
Crazy stuff here. Ray, say we got the text boards going at 610-632-0975. And what say the people today, Ray Dunn?
They're not happy.
No,
if
why
you could
not?
believe that. Yeah, so we got some people with the plays that stick out in their minds. Noah from Yardley sticking with this thought of them being kind of soft, not tough enough. Mentally weak was the phrase that Noah used. Said the play that he thinks of is Tobias Harris on the wing guarding Jalen Brunson with his hands on his side. Did not like that. Also did not like the shot selection down the stretch. It blew his mind. Not what they've been doing all season. The thought of where this team goes from here makes me physically ill. The fact that I fell back into this trap again breaks my heart.
I heard that on the morning show today, too. And Connor came in during our first break. And he's like, why should I root for this team and all that? No, that's sports. Like, sorry.
what we do.
And maybe it's because I'm older and I've, witnessed a lot of stuff through the years, good and bad, whatever. But that's the greatness of sports, I think. Yeah, you're going to have heartbreak, but you never know. Like Connor came in. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Why should I watch? Well, I thought Mike Tyson was going to dispose of Buster Douglas in 5 minutes and we were going out. That's why I only brought a 12-pack of beer over to my friend's house to watch it. And then we had to keep calling other friends to come and bring more beer because it kept going on. And the biggest upset maybe in sports history happened right there before my eyes. Like, you never know. You know a little too much about the Sixers organization right now that they don't have a winning attitude.
Yeah, and that's where I think that the hope is not springing as eternal.
Right.
I think there was, and we talked about it when Connor was in here, like a lot of people had trouble coming back to the season with how last year ended. He was not in that camp, but I know a lot of people thought, I can't even think about the Sixers until maybe January, February because of how everything lingered. And then they had the end, of course, the Eagle season, and they were like, I can't be heartbroken. Like, I'm just now recovering from how that season ended. Don't do this to me, Sixers. And then they started winning, and then, of course, the rug was pulled up under them when Joel Embiid went down. But I feel like that's a common occurrence for people to be like, I don't know if I can keep coming back. But the thing is, you do.
Sure.
Just in the sentence that you just said, I don't know if I can keep coming back. That's an active statement, right? It's not like,
I'm not coming back. It's not, I'm not coming back.
I left.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's I don't know if I can. When you know that you probably will.
Yeah, you will.
And it's
because
fine. But I think they take a little piece of you each time.
They do, and that piece grows back. Look, if it's apathy, that's one thing.
Yeah,
I don't think many are going straight to apathy. Because if you care this much to say I'm out.
That's not this town.
Right.
That's a different town.
Yeah.
That's not this town.
We had this talk. I don't know if you were here with me when I brought this up a couple weeks ago or whatever. You can say, I don't care. They stink so bad, I just don't care. Well, you do care. Like, your hatred is
put an
caring.
adjective on it.
Exactly. Your hatred is still caring.
Yeah.
What else do we have, Ray?
All right, we got two that go kind of in the same vein here. So Jake from South Philly checks in. This is similar, Amy, to what you were going with. The microcosm when either Hart or Achua jumped so much higher than a flat-footed B to grab a board that the refs couldn't call an over-the-back foul on them. And then Justin from Media, continuing with the rebounding, saying that Josh Hart getting his own rebound on a missed free throw defines why the Sixers are down 3-1 in the series. No one even close to boxing out on the play.
I forgot about the Josh Hart missed free throw
yeah.
one. That's a good point.
Yeah, it was. That's a great one. And we're asking, what's your microcosm play that summed up this whole game yesterday? It could have come early. It probably came later because that's what you're going to remember more and when the tide started to turn. But what could be your microcosm play? Alex and Bryn Mawr joins us. Alex, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I was thinking, looking forward to next year. Will we be able to get a guy like Mikal Bridges or Isaiah Joe back? I was never comfortable with that trade from the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get
I
you
don't
can
know.
trade
Thanks,
for
Alex.
Isaiah Joe, I guess.
Yeah, but what do you
under
have? You have to
contract.
sign somebody and then trade them, and because you don't have any assets to trade.
That's what I think. The NBA is so different, as you know. It's not like you can just willy-nilly. You have to. Everything has to match. You can't just like sign.
Money
things.
has to match.
It has
all
to
of
match.
that
So that's
stuff,
why you always
yeah.
have these crazy things. So yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know exactly where I know heavily. Mikal Bridges has been recruited heavily up there in New York, and it's not even like a thing anymore. But yeah, that's a player that you would need. But the thing is, there's players like that every year. You have to find them. You have to go out there and get those guys, and you have to make them into who you want them to be. Like Josh Hart, good player. I think being at New York has made him into the player that he's supposed to be. It's not like he was still a nice player when he was with the Trailblazers, a nice player when he was with the Pelicans, but he wasn't this player yet. I don't think you saw this kind of level. And maybe it is because he's playing with Jalen Brunson, a guy that he's so familiar with. Maybe it's because he's playing under Tom Thibodeau. But whatever it is, all those things, this is who he was supposed to be all along.
Yeah. What else we got, Ray?
All right, we got Lou checking in here from the Northeast, saying that mismanagement of momentum is key to why the Sixers have continuously lost with Embiid, and now this is his third coach. It's inexcusable to allow your opponent to creep back into the game. Knicks would fall behind, and the Sixers staff and players watch the Knicks go on runs to cut the lead. And if timeouts are called, it's always 1 or 2 possessions late. For example, after all the drama, the game was still in the balance after the Knicks had 4 offensive rebounds and possessions and failed to score. Down 3, Sixers never called timeout to give the team a break and to organize a comprehensive offensive approach.
You know, one of the things that Amy brought up also just made me think, like, all right, Josh Hart goes to New York and grows as a player and becomes what he is. Jalen Brunson, he showed he was becoming really, really good in Dallas, but Dallas still didn't trust him, for whatever reason. He goes to New York and signs a big contract, becomes who he is. Dante DiVincenzo was kind of growing as a player, but has grown into what he is. Like, this Knicks currently organization has grown players into the best, maybe the best that they can be right now. Is that another sign of the Sixers not being a winning organization? How many players can we say that about?
That they've grown? No.
I mean, and let's
Or
look
that
at
they
it this
grew
way.
and then they left.
Or that they picked up players that were good elsewhere and then came here, and what happened? Buddy Hield.
Al Horford.
On the list, right here.
That's the most glaring of them all. He's a completely different human.
Winning organizations figure out how to use Al Horford with Joel Embiid.
Right.
I don't know how they didn't figure it out.
I think it's too many Band-Aids as far as the players that they bring in. Oh, this guy's going to be a quick fix. Oh, we need toughness. Let's bring in P.J. Tucker. Quick fix. That's not a realistic expectation for a long-term answer. And that's what you need.
Shooters. Bring in Buddy Hield.
There you go. We got one. We got the best shooter on the market. That's what they said. Best shooter on the market.
What happened with that?
That is a great question. The guy he had the longest tenure without making the playoffs, 630-plus games, right? Gets in there. He looks lost. And we talked about it last week. Is it this about, does he need to run a set for him? Do they need to open him up? Is it a mental thing? I'd love to know. He can't as soon as Campaign went in Game 3, you just thought, nope, that's it. We're not going to see any more Buddy Hield. Even if they had won the game yesterday.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Amy, because when we come back, I want to talk about this. I'm not going to go this Nick Nurse getting a free pass route, but I do want to question some of the things he did yesterday and see what you have to say. We'll have some cuts from him explaining, but we'll talk about all that. Also, the question is still on the board. Microcosm play of yesterday's game. Maybe it's a microcosm play of this whole series, but what play do you recall yesterday that kind of was a microcosm of how the day went? Amy Fadul's here with us all day long. This is Middays, Bob Cooney on 97.5 The Fanatic. to middays around 11:30 here at the Fanatic as Amy Fadul joins us for the full day. So a lot of people are down and out today, or maybe almost all the way out today because of the Sixers loss yesterday. But you know what you might need? I'm not like, I'm just telling you what you might need. Well, it's the Fanatic deal of the week. Von C. Brewing Company. That's
Nice.
right, Abe.
Yep.
When in doubt, let's go to the Brewing Company. Get a taste of Philly brewing history with the Fanatic deal of the week. This week only, get a $50 gift card for Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown for just $25. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. I like brewing companies.
Who doesn't?
Good point. I was just in one in down in Glassboro, New Jersey
Nice.
this week, so that was good. I want to try out Von C. I'm going to try to get over to
Get by
Norristown
Norristown?
as soon as possible. Bad left-handed chop by me. I just missed the trash can, but what are you going to do? So we're talking about plays that were a microcosm of yesterday, and we got a lot of texts on them, Ray. You want to read some of them for us now? I'm sorry?
Yeah, sure. People talking about some of the plays that stuck out to them here.
Did they reiterate the plays that we talked about?
They reiterated a number of the plays we talked about. A lot of people also talking about Joel Embiid on the perimeter late in the game. Just that image of him kind of looking gassed, really, really bothering them. So it's kind of the same thing, the rebounding and the late game feel for a number of people that have them pretty upset right now.
Yeah, understandably so. And you can tell when the lines light up. There's people that are upset out there. Cisco and Bluebell, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Cisco?
This great show is going on.
Thank you.
One thing I want to mention, you call Embiid not a winner, and I agree with you there, but I think the organization is a loser.
Now, I'm careful on that real quick, Cisco. Loser to me is a four-letter word when you're talking about an athlete and organization. A losing organization, I'm okay with. Do you say loser or losing?
No, I say loser.
Oh, well, he already went there. Cisco's already there.
I'm going to give you the reason. During the process, they were losing on purpose. That makes for a losing organization. They were losing on purpose, and they taught players like Embiid, Ben Simmons, losing is not bad. They should have been teaching these players you should hate losing more than you love winning. And they didn't teach those players that.
Cisco, thank you. I appreciate that. But, what I'll say is, first of all, two things. When people say they were losing on purpose. As an organization, the players that they were putting out there, and I was up front with it the whole time, they played their asses off because all those kids that they had were auditioning to try to stay in the NBA.
Right.
So, to say players were going out there and losing on purpose, that's not the case. What it was the organization was putting players out there that they knew couldn't win in the NBA as a group.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I understand what Cisco's saying there. Loser, to me, that's a tough word to call anybody. I just...
Because it's not an active word. It's already defined.
Right.
I think that's why losing sits better. It's a non-winning organization at this point.
Right. They're not a winning organization, and it goes to mentality.
They need to learn how to do that. Players.
Yeah, exactly, right? It goes to mentality. It goes to moves I believe you made in the past. Does a winning organization, I'll bring it up again, does a winning organization handle injuries the way they did for all those years? And it's a handling of players not knowing, I'm ready to play, why aren't they playing me? We have more than a couple situations of that. It's, holding players out for full seasons when maybe they could have come back. It's the unknown of, well, he's got a torn meniscus, he's going to have surgery this summer, and there was never surgery that summer. Just different things that, kind of bother you and maybe lead to the non-winning that we're talking about. Steve on the cell. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Bob. It's Steve T. from the Hill. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
This guy's an awesome basketball player.
Caller.
Uh-huh. All right, what do you got for us, buddy?
I was just going to say, I'm just baffled by the whole situation. I feel like thinking of that phrase, hungry dogs run faster, I feel like the Knicks, besides their IQ, are just so much more hungrier than the Sixers. And they're missing Randall as well. Mm-hmm. But to me, that is just baffling, not working as hard as they possibly can.
So, Steve, I made this statement before the series, and it was a question. It was more of a question than a statement. I said, is it possible the Knicks are a better team than the Sixers, but the Sixers have the better talent. Has that kind of played out this series, you think?
I think so. I think chemistry is, as you know, chemistry is everything. I just don't. The Sixers aren't connected right now. I feel the Knicks are really connected on what they're doing. I mean, play like they did yesterday. And you asked about like what baffled you about the game. Like I think the IQ of the foul shot, totally. But I'm going to step out a little. I just don't like Joel Embiid standing in the corner. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
I'd even like Maxey when he stole the ball, ran all the way down, got it, and shot in the corner. Yes, I'm sure he's trying to ignite the team, but they've had so many bad possessions before that. It's just not smart basketball to me. It really isn't, and it's troubling. I feel like it's Groundhog Day every year with this team in these playoffs. It's just stupid basketball. So.
Steve, much appreciated. Keep in touch with us. Appreciate all the so Steve and I played against each other in high school. Steve is a longtime coach, but he was such a good player. He played for the Washington Generals.
Oh, the team that
played against the Globetrotters.
Talk about losing on
I was
purpose.
going to say, talk about losing organization. But that's their shtick. That's their shtick.
Yeah,
they're supposed to.
So even the play, let's see, like I was getting real frustrated.
The Maxey play?
The outlet by Joel Embiid. Now, they had to review it, and they gave the Sixers the ball. It turned out to be a great play, and I think the announcer even said, oh, well, I called it a stupid play. I'm going to have to go back. No. Because of Tyrese Maxey, it wasn't a stupid play. It was a stupid by Joel Embiid.
Unnecessary. As soon as that play happened, we all were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's a difference between trying to ignite, trying to get something going positive, and playing smart basketball. Because if you played smart basketball and you made a better pass and had a better organization to that play, then it would have been something to ignite, because then you could have easily had Tyrese Maxey on the breakaway and he could have had one of his fancy layups and the whole place would have gone crazy. Not the whole place, but half of it anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't know. I'm kind of different when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, it sucks. Look, does it suck?
It is what it is.
When they show the stands and you see all these New York people and all that, okay, like yesterday, this is just how I am. We're doing pregame show, and there's two couples, guy and a girl. They come to the bar where we are, and they get a drink, and they turn around. They're all New York nicked up, and the girls, make eye contact, and the guys, whatever. And I said, they were looking for a reaction from me, and I was just like, hey, good luck today.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm not, good luck.
Good for you. Glad you could afford these tickets.
Yeah, good for you. Coming down on a beautiful day. Terrific. We had this other couple. And Dee went over and talked to them during one of our breaks. The guy was a Knicks fan from New York. The girl was a Phillies fan from Philly. They met in New Jersey, but they were both representing. He had on his Knicks jacket. She had on her her Sixers shirt. I don't know how that played out, but we'll see. Terrell in Philly, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Terrell?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good,
Great.
Terrell.
Yo, it was disgusting seeing the way New York took over our city and the way they trashed our city after the game. But, to my main point, I think nobody's talking about the way Nick Nurse is getting out coached, leaving people in too long, not leaving people in enough. I think Tobias Harris gives us nothing in the fourth quarter. Why leave him in? And also, I would love to have P.J. Tucker right now. I think he would give us hustle points, rebounds.
He doesn't score at all. Terrell, he doesn't score. He's not giving you points. He doesn't score.
Covington doesn't give us nothing either. He's getting $11 million.
So we're talking about guys to put the team over the top. We're comparing guys that give you nothing.
But would P.J. Tucker be allowing us to get out-rebounded like this and out-hustled? I think he will be in the guys' ears on the sideline, the way Nick Nurse should be in guys' ears. And
maybe 2 years ago, I'd give you that.
Thanks, Terrell. Appreciate it, buddy.
I see what he's saying. I think P.J. Tucker has been that guy. I don't know if this year P.J. Tucker was that guy. The wheels started to show a little bit last year. You saw it last year that the wheels they'd been pretty worn.
And respectfully to Terrell, does Joel Embiid, does Tobias Harris, does anybody else on that team not know that they're getting their asses kicked on the offensive boards? Do they need somebody to get in their ear? They don't. Is the basketball IQ that low that they're going, oh wait, oh yeah,
we're not crashing the boards.
Oh,
they do get that ball again. Oh, they got that one. Oh, they got that one.
Oh, 11 times in the fourth quarter they got another possession because we either knocked the ball out of bounds or they got an offensive rebound.
P.J. Tucker was on the team last year when they lost to the Celtics, correct?
Yeah. I don't know. I
get it.
I don't know why this day has gotten me more frustrated than I was when I was here.
I get it.
I think you've hit your breaking point, Bob.
No, he's not even close.
This is by far the most animated I've seen Bob about a loss.
And it's funny because
it's kind of startling.
Startling?
Yeah, for me.
Do you like it?
I kind of do.
Yeah, we're here for it, the
I think
fired
this
up
is
version.
great. This
Yeah.
is some good stuff.
It's funny. Like I said to you, I hate use the word stupidity, but when your IQ is questioned playing a game, let's put it that way, that gets me so badly.
And it's all of them. It's not like one play or two plays. It was that everybody contributed to the lack of awareness.
Right.
Of like, what are we doing? You know what the situation is. You're looking at the game clock. You're looking at the score. You're seeing what's happening, and yet you're standing there.
And Joel Embiid
Maybe that's what it was.
Had a 6'8" guy on him yesterday for the whole fourth quarter.
I'm telling you, that's why I was so that play. It was all small. 6'7", 6'8", 6'4", 6'2", 6'1". Like, what's happening right? And I say 6'1". Jalen Brunson is officially listed as 6'2". I've stood next to him, not 6'2".
No, I don't think so at all. You know, one thing we're talking about the Sixers organization today, and are they a winning organization? I don't feel that they have that in them right now. But they did a winning thing yesterday, and that was having Dawn Staley ring the bell.
I was just going to say that. I
Were you?
knew you were going to say Dawn Staley.
Were you?
Because there's an ice-cold picture of Dawn Staley, Dr. J, and Allen Iverson. And it is just that.
The cool thing is Iverson and Dr. J are pointing at Staley,
Yeah.
like, look who we're with.
Yeah.
And she's pointing to them.
Talk
look
about
who
a winner.
Oh, my. And she's got the Allen Iverson shirt on
Yeah,
underneath
her
of a
fit
jacket.
never misses. She never misses.
Her cheering on the Sixers.
I'll
take her on any team that I'm on. I don't care if I'm starting an ice hockey team. I will take her to be something on that team every day of the week.
They had cutaways, and we watch all together in the newsroom. And it was a busier newsroom because we had Phillies yesterday as well. And people are like, can Dawn get in the game? Could she either play, coach, just do anything?
Something.
Just do something.
Yeah.
Give us a little something. Because
Draw up
we
a
know,
play.
Just light a fire under them. She can be in somebody's ear. She would motivate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why they need it, but they needed something. But we wondered if it was like too soon to bring her out. But apparently it wasn't. It was not too soon to bring Dawn Staley out. That's a big gun for the bell ringer.
It was. And like, we were there on Thursday night's game when they brought out CJ GJ. We knew it was an Eagle because we saw Big Dom hanging out by the entrance early in
Which
the game.
made sense with the draft. I get it.
Absolutely. And they bring out CJ GJ, and a couple of the people were like, really? Why not Kelsey? And I said, well, you're trying to save the big guns in case they
later.
advance. And the guy looked at me like,
we did not
really?
we saw Dawn Staley like, oh, that's a big gun to bring out right now as far as the bell ringer.
That was the best gun.
But it was great. She's the best.
I was one time, I like, you know, we've been around athletes our whole professional lives and all. I was on a plane coming home from a weekend with the boys from Notre Dame. We went to see like Notre Dame USC game. And we get on the plane, and I look down, and there's Dawn Staley sitting on the plane. I turned to one of my friends, and we sat down. I go, I don't usually get geeked out, but, man, I love her. I'm geeked out right now.
First time I
about
met
that
her, I
one.
was so excited to talk about UVA. I was just like, we got to talk about this. She's like, okay, calm down, woman.
I'm just a person.
Exactly.
Oh, man. All right, when we get back, so much more on the table. Still looking for your one play that might be a microcosm. We've had a lot on text, a lot come through. There's a lot of people holding on to the phone lines. Just stick with us. We'll get right to you when we get back. Amy Fadul here all day long, our ray of sunshine. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays approaching the 12 o'clock hour. Just so you know, Ray and I talking yesterday while, I didn't know how inebriated he was, so I really didn't give him too much information about what the show was today.
Catching strays.
But, no, I'm just saying, good on you, man.
I watched that game of clean mind. I knew I had to have these reactions to today. I couldn't just be...
Can I just ask you one question? Answer me honestly.
Yeah.
What time did you have your first beer yesterday?
9:45 Pacific time.
All right, that's all.
Pacific time.
That's
so
fine.
15 minutes before the Sixers game started.
Uh-huh.
And then
Not
I had
alone in
one in the first half. I had one in the second half.
That's
What happened after
now
the game?
I'm disappointed in you.
What happened after the game is none of your business.
There you
went to
go.
the Phillies
frankly.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I just want to tell our listeners, I didn't book any guests today because I was thinking Amy's in, I'm here. I thought we were going to have a pretty good 4-hour conversation about what happened with the
flown by us so
76ers.
far.
It has. Now, Ray was fortunate enough that he got to see all 3 Phillies game this weekend in San Diego. Another sweep by the Phillies. They have swept 3 of their last 4 series. They're fun to watch.
Remember at the beginning of the season, we're like, oh, how's this going to go? It's not going. That's just seems like that's a different season now.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's this season. That was like a different part.
Yeah. They're just fun.
Listen, there's a lot of reasons behind that. Alec Boehm is a big reason for me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball.
All of baseball. The starting pitching was going crazy there for a good 12-game span.
Walker actually kind of messed up. I always think about your timesheet ERA.
Yeah.
And he kind of messed
I
that up.
stopped it. Yeah, once he got out there, I stopped it. He did make one of the more impressive defensive plays we're going to see this year.
It's a
that
casual
is so
play.
cool. Yeah.
I like Ranger Suarez has done that too. Where they just very casually get the comebacker.
You get a
they look good.
Couple of home runs
Hoffman
from
looked
Bryson
good.
Stott. Yeah, 9 home runs in the 3-game series, which is really nice. So, yeah, they're playing good baseball, and they go to the Angels, play there tonight. Of course, we talked about the Eagles getting what appears to be their backfield of the future, their defensive backfield of the future.
Yeah.
In Mitchell and what's his face? Why am I drawing
Cooper
a blank?
DeJean.
Yeah, DeJean, who said last week that he could beat Caitlin Clark one-on-one
Well,
in
that's
basketball.
the thing is, so whatever. I guess he was asked that because obviously they're both
He
out of
was,
Iowa and
in all
whatever
fairness.
else. Then I pulled up, someone actually had it, and then I pulled up even more clips of him playing basketball.
Oh, yeah, he can ball.
He can jump out of the gym.
He can ball.
He's like flat-footed dunking. Like, I don't think people have an appreciation for how hard that is.
Yeah.
Just to be standing under and just to jump up and just straight dunk. Like, that is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So, I think that he'll play a little bit more safety, but he's a guy that I think you can plug and play. And you mentioned it earlier. I do think Quinyon Mitchell is a starter. I think you start him opposite.
Think so?
Clay. I do.
Okay.
I think right now, I think that's why you take him at 22. I think that they lucked out. I know we talked about this, but I think that was the perfect. The draft lined up well for them. It's hard for me to grade drafts until you actually see the players.
Exactly.
But on paper, you're looking at that's a good draft. Is it the best draft in the entire NFL? I don't know. I haven't looked at everybody's, but I think that it's a very, very good draft. I think it would be a solid B+ right now.
Yeah, it's funny that I don't really look at grades and all that, but I was looking up some information this morning, and it was a grading thing, and it had the Eagles at a B+.
Oh, so there you go.
Yeah, look at that. Great minds all think alike. You talk about being intimidated. My freshman year, first practice, basketball practice, there was a group of freshmen that were pretty good, so they practiced us with the varsity. So we're sitting there warming up, and the head coach comes out, grabs a ball, is standing under the basket, jumps up, pumps, and dunks it over his head from a standstill.
No.
Like you're saying.
No.
At 6'4".
I would have been like, thanks, everyone.
Oh, my God.
for
It's
me.
why they called him Skyman, Jimmy Skyman Crawford. Joe in West Philly, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Bob, Amy?
How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
My microcosm is more like the second half of the game where you're starting center injured. Still had to play the whole second half because anytime you sit them out, you collapse offensively and you collapse defensively. Yeah, I mean, and that's just what it is. If he's not in the game and the coach got this nervous, it's game 3, and it's a shame you had to play him the whole second half. You know you're injured. You know his face is going through things, but if he sits down, the Sixers totally collapse on both ends of the floor. And my thing is, Maxey and B, where's the rest of the talent at, Bob? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand that. I don't know of any other talent, all the other talent that's out there once you get past Maxine and Embiid on the 6 or 10.
Well, they anticipated
40.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. They anticipated there was going to be some talent, Tobias Harris, the guy that averages 17 a game, he's kind of been nowhere during these playoffs.
He came in from the Clippers as like a 39% three-point shooter, and not like he was a volume guy. Like he shot a lot of threes, not like a lot, but better than league average. This wasn't a fluky player, and you're thinking, oh yeah, no, to see what he's turned into, and then you just wonder. It goes back to your original point. Did he become this because of how it is here? Was he always going to be this guy? It's hard to separate the two right now as far as a non-winning organization with a player you overpay for, you max out, and he contributes in the way that we've seen Tobias Harris.
In Buddy Hield, you got who Daryl Morey described as the best player available.
Best shooter available.
Best shooter available.
Correct.
And didn't he have a phrase on it also? He's a killer scorer or something like that, whatever he
we
said.
all heard the stats for, he's second most threes since he came into the league.
So he comes to this organization and can't see the floor in a playoff game.
Well, he's seen the floor.
Yeah, and yesterday didn't.
No. Well, I think that was decided after Game 3.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's weird to me. I can't help but close my eyes and say, if he would have gone to the, I don't know, Denver Nuggets, or if he would have gone to, lessen it down a little bit, to the Boston Celtics or some other organization, I bet you Buddy Hield would come off the bench and be stroking threes. But why not here?
Yeah. Do you put him in yesterday? Would you
No,
want it?
probably not. Yeah, probably not. No, but I'm just
the
like
question's
overall.
out there. Yeah, the question's out there. Yeah, for sure.
Tasty Cake Dom, you're on the Fanatic. What's going on, Dom?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Aim. Hey, Ray.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, Dom.
I'm glad you mixed in some of the good that happened this weekend.
Yes, the Eagles and the Phils. We got to touch on that.
So, Bob, I identify with the stuff you said this morning about. I kept hearing as you were talking, keep your head in the game, keep your head in the game. And you said about the missed foul shot. To me, the play that just frustrated me so much is we're going home, right, Bob? And it's a one-possession game, and the Sixers play great defense, and they swing to Josh. You said that Josh Hart can't throw a rock in the ocean in the second half, right?
Right.
They swing to Josh Hart. I hear the announcer say there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock, and Oubre fouls him.
With 1.5, right, Dom? Wasn't it somewhere around there?
Yeah, it was definitely under 2.
That's not aggressive. That's not aggressive basketball, Bob. That's reckless basketball.
Reckless.
That's being reckless.
Good point.
And that was just drives me crazy.
That's a great play, Dom. Thanks so much. Hope you're feeling good, buddy. Love hearing from you all the time. That was another one. Just what are you doing? Josh Harris was 0 for 7 from the floor yesterday. 0 for 3 from 0 for 4 from
Josh Hart. Josh Harris was on the sideline.
Oh my God! Here we go. We got one. Josh Hart and
yeah, you're
you
running
doing?
at it. You're running. That's the mark of a team that is not aware.
Yeah,
you're trying to be, and I think Dom used the word reckless instead of aggressive. Aggressive means you're trying to do something within the parameters of the game, within what is going to be good for you. You want to be that aggressive player. Reckless has a negative connotation.
Have you seen? Now we're gonna get into the Nick Nurse coaching at the top of the hour. It's fair to question. He probably questions himself, and I'll play some audio on it. But we'll ask you: was there some egregious things you saw from the coach yesterday? We still have out there what the play with that was a microcosm of yesterday's game. So much out there. It's not all positive. It's pretty much all negative, but that's where we are. Down 3-1 in this series. That's where the Sixers are right now. Amy Fadul's here with us all day long. We got a couple more hours left. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5. And welcome back as we begin the noon hour here on Middays. Amy Fadul joining us all day long today until 2 o'clock. That's start closing time.
Yep.
That's when the lights go out for us. But best show ever is here for you. Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen today. Ricky's putting in some hours with his West Coast games. That's not easy. God bless him. Good for him. But nobody knows about working a lot of hours more than you, Miss Fadul.
Would we have it any other way, though?
No, I don't think so. Like you and I were complaining that, God, I hope this end doesn't run because it does mean a lot to us, to me doing pregame, you doing pre and post game, coming back in, doing all the things that we do. It is fun. That's why it's a little disheartening. So I want to ask you, a couple of people on our YouTube page, I think we had a caller earlier that had to get off the line, but they were talking about Nick Nurse and how he should not get a free pass from yesterday. I don't think anybody gets a free pass for yesterday.
Not a game like that.
Not a game like that. But was there anything, I hesitate on the word egregious, Aim, but I'll say, was there anything that had you maybe scratching your head a little bit in some of the decisions Nick Nurse made?
Yeah, you kind of brought that up before the break, and so I thought about it during the break. And we thought about it last night because, you want to be fair when you're laying blame, if you want to go as far as to label it that, when you're looking for reasons as to why they lost that game, as to why it was so one-sided, it seemed like. And I know I could keep going back to the score. It just seemed like the Knicks were always in control. It was the first quarter, and then everything else was going the Knick way. So why was that? Was there something that Nick Nurse could have done? So we looked at a couple of plays that were problematic. Was there something there? Were there timeouts ill-timed? I think that's what one of the callers brought up. Maybe there's one or two that I thought maybe a timeout when they crash the boards over and over and over again, and you're thinking maybe you need to get a little something going your way. I don't look at any of the plays that went against the Sixers or that they didn't capitalize on and thought that was a bad scheme. I thought there was some. We broke down how they switched enough in Game 3 that Jalen Brunson ended up on Joel Embiid and how that worked to Joel Embiid's favor because he was able to knock down the shots with a much shorter player on him. And that how they tried to do that a little bit again, and it just did not work. Was that something schemed that the Knicks worked on? Maybe. And it just, we talked about in Games 1 and 2, they spent so much defensive effort on guarding Jalen Brunson. Did it cost them offensively? Maybe. Then they go ahead and guard him straight up. They allow him to get 39 points in Game 3. They win because they got 50 from Joel Embiid. They guard him straight up again in Game 4. He gets 47. You don't get 50. So I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to give him some of the blame because I think the coach has to take that. But there wasn't anything schematically that I thought, well, that was a complete mistake. I've seen the comments of people like, oh, he's no better than Doc Rivers. Slow our roll there for a second.
Yeah, a little bit. DeAnthony Melton getting used yesterday for 7 minutes. Spark, defense, however you want to label it. Were you in agreement? Were you okay with that going on? Now, we have to preface it by saying Buddy Hield hasn't given you anything. So if you're going to get 7 minutes from somebody, why not give it to DeAnthony Melton?
I think that was it. I think you were thinking that it didn't seem to be going your way. Even if you were right in the game and you were even leading at times, it just never felt comfortable. You didn't feel good about the way that things were going. And maybe Nick Nurse felt that too. We need to get a guy out there that can lock down defensively and help out. Jalen Brunson was cooking. It was so aggravating to listen to the national broadcast. At one point, Richard Jefferson says, oh, Jalen Brunson's heating up. He had 17 points at that point. Heating up. He's on fire.
It was 8 minutes into the game.
Exactly. I was like, well, who are you looking at? That was a hard pill to swallow to listen to those. And I enjoy mostly. I think some of the broadcasters are good, but Richard Jefferson, I was like, stop talking. And then I felt like they were so pro Knicks. I was like, well, that's probably just my negativity coming through. But I didn't look at anything and thought, well, that's a big mistake. But maybe it was a bunch of little mistakes that cost them.
Yeah. So Nick Nurse was asked about the Sixers did at one point get a 10-point lead. And obviously it didn't last, but he was asked about how he felt during that time.
Well, we didn't shoot the ball very well tonight. And I thought once we got a 10-point lead, I think we turned it over 3 of the next 4 possessions. We had really great rhythm going, and it's almost like we took ourselves out of rhythm with those turnovers. I mean, we were really rolling there. And then it got a little difficult to find rhythm. And then, listen, we executed a lot of stuff that we were making the right reads on and didn't knock some of those shots down, missed a couple layups, There was some clunky possessions here or there, but that's playoffs. Both teams have those, but mostly just needed to knock a few of those in and finish a little tougher at the rim.
They did have some good looks, and you mentioned it earlier about Tyrese Maxey having some open threes. that he looked at. They didn't create, and maybe this team isn't built all that much like that, but creating for themselves was an issue.
Right.
It appeared, and they couldn't do that. The one question I would put to him is, Joel Embiid got Hartenstein in foul trouble in that third quarter. Why did you not post him up more in the fourth quarter?
Right.
Because even if doubles are coming, that leads to open shots. Like, I thought they could have done that a little bit better.
It wasn't until later. You saw
Right.
him going to the free throw line later in that game, later in the fourth quarter, after the 5-minute mark. And then it was just out of like, oh, we need something going our way, so we're going to try to post. Why wasn't that the whole concerted effort, especially to start the fourth with no Jalen Brunson? You really need to capitalize on the fact that you've gone small ball with the Knicks, 6'8" and 6'7", in Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah.
You should be able to dominate those. Like, Precious Achiuwa blocked his three-pointer well into the stands.
There's a great picture of it in the Daily News today. I think
saw.
Young Kim, great
Yes.
photographer
Oh,
for
yeah,
the
Young
Daily
Kim's
News.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
he's the man. Mike and Delran, who is also the man. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you doing?
Hey, Mike.
I think Maury was watching tape of Buddy Hield at Oklahoma during the college. 'Cause
Not
the
against
tournament.
Villanova.
Yeah, no.
No, no.
Earlier.
I remember that tournament. Before he came out in the draft. He was outrageous, and I wanted him over Ben Simmons. I think that year. I don't remember if they won or not, but I know they made a deep run. When I called last was before Game 3, and you were asking the question, I want to see this from this, right?
Right.
And I said I wanted to see leadership from Embiid. And you guys, when I got off the phone, were kind of like confused what I meant by that. Well, then in Game 3, he went out there and he imposed his will, right? I mean, he was chippy with guys. You saw him getting into it, right? I felt like he took the team and put them on his back, right? He scored 50 points, right, or something like that game, Craig?
Yeah, 50.
That's what I was talking about, because that's the exact opposite of what happened last night. You know what I mean? That's what I meant by the leadership from Embiid. When he imposes his will, and he's a giant on that floor. He wants to bully people around, right? He wants to get in people's face, and he wants to bark around. I don't see that from him a lot. I mean, you can disagree whether I'm wrong or right. Throughout his 10-year career, I don't remember seeing a lot of that. He had that Game 3. They won that game. He didn't have it last night.
That's kind of the point. My kind of theme today is, are they a winning organization? And Mike, I think you hit it on the head. When Embiid does that, it's more of an outlier, and it should be more of an outlier. Yesterday's game should be the outlier.
Absolutely right. I agree 100%, because they do have more talent.
Yeah.
They are a talented team. And as far as Nick Nurse goes, that clip, he was right. They were up by 10, 3 turnovers in a row. I remember watching it, shaking my head like, that's how you kill the momentum. He didn't not go out and get a rebound, right? He didn't. That's players play those games. And in games like that last night, every player that stepped foot on that court, it was to blame. And unfortunately, that's what happens more times than not with this Sixers team. So go Birds.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Go Birds. That's a good way of putting it.
It is.
Should that now look? I'm not expecting Joel Embiid to score 50 points every game, but that is more the outlier.
Right. Well, the fieriness of him. You saw that after the Game 2 loss.
Right.
You saw the fiery nature. And we remarked at the time, you don't hear him talk. And I'm not saying he has to be that guy, because if you're that guy too much, then that becomes you, and then it doesn't do anything. But when you become that guy at the right time, then you can have that leadership role kind of amplified. Like, there's no doubt he's the leader. People look to him. That's just the natural case of his position, the fact that he plays at the level he does, and everything about him. He is the natural leader of the team. But when he steps into that role and really does it and performs in the way with the fieriness and the want to and the rebounding and getting everything like that, that's when people look and see from the outside, oh, yeah, that's what we need. Can you give us that more? And I'm not saying every single game you need to be at 100, but some games you need to be at 100. You can't be at 100 one game and the next game be at a 30.
Well, think of this. They get 5 fouls. Embiid got 5 fouls on Hartenstein in the third quarter alone. Okay? It was getting to the joke point of he was catching the ball and just like getting arms and turning his back to the basket. Like, I'm going to the foul line again. Going to the foul line again. Who do you blame in the fourth quarter? Hartenstein isn't in the game. He's going against much smaller players on the offensive end of the floor, and he's not doing what just got one guy in 5 fouls. Who do you blame?
Yeah, well, you got to wonder if it was a systematic thing. Like, he was told, hey, we need you to go inside, and he said, no, I'm more comfortable out here because I'm tired and I'm not banging around with Anunoby and Achiuwa. My blame is going to be more on Embiid for that.
Okay.
because I think he needs to recognize going back to your basketball IQ, how do you not know that? How do you not know you just got this guy in foul trouble? And Anunoby is the best game he had all series. He finally got into the offensive rhythm that he can. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to give you 20, but he can give you 15 on the regular. And he's a physical player. He's a big, big body. And here's a guy that you could have gotten into foul trouble again. But maybe that's where the exhaustion I would like to know that. Like, why wasn't he trying to do the same thing with those smaller players that you had 5 inches on?
And one of our great YouTubers, and hi to the YouTube page. I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you earlier. You know how much I love you guys. Had a great point. Josh Hart had 4 fouls for 2 quarters. Why didn't you try to attack him one-on-one a little bit? You know, get I don't know, get a pick and roll where they switch off, because New York loves to switch off. Get them to switch off, and now you have a matchup that you want where you try to draw another foul on him.
You're not, because you're not going to draw another foul on Josh Hart.
He's too smart. This IQ.
You should see how many times he's fouled out in the season.
Ray,
not a lot.
Yeah, when we were on the break, you came to me and you said, I got a thought of something that really ticked me off yesterday because you were getting into my fiery nature.
Yeah.
So what was it?
I think for me, and I think this is what, because again, you guys remember where I was after game 2. I was not in a good spot at all. And I said I wouldn't really be back unless they held serve at home, because I really had felt like that game 2, that game took my soul. Looking at yesterday's game, I think the thing that frustrated me the most down the stretch was so much of I'm watching another organization that is putting the pieces together right now that has learned how to finish a game that I don't know, and then that has found an identity as well in finishing a game that I think I haven't seen in the 6-7 years that we've been down this path. And I think that's the most frustrating thing for me, is I feel like I'm watching another team's slow arrival when I've been waiting for my own organization's arrival for so long, and it feels like I keep getting dealt the same. And it's a different hand, but it's the same result. And I think that's the thing that bothered me down the stretch of like, oh, hey, I really feel like you could do this here, or we need this here. Like, give me something, like, and you just slowly accept that, like, oh, this is just going to go the same way that it's gone. And I think that, to me, yesterday, beyond when we talk big picture things, beyond just what you're watching on the floor, I felt like I was watching another team's arrival to the scene that just walked past my team in line.
Right.
You know,
they butted in front of them.
Right. I equate this to, I was at the airport last night. You know, I'm waiting in group 5, waiting to get called. Somebody sneaks in from group 6 right in front of me. I'm like, whoa, hey, man. You know, this is society. We have rules here. But basically, the Knicks are the group 6 person that just slide right in front of you. You have the superior talent. Of the 2 teams, you have the best player on the floor. You've had him for much longer than they've had this group, and yet their arrival is now going to happen before you. And it's because, really, they outgrinded you. If you play this series 10 times, I don't know how many times the Knicks win it. I really don't.
Yeah.
But they've been able to outgrind you, and they've been able, because they're going to end up probably winning this series with a point differential that is, like, razor thin.
Right.
That, to me, is a team that just outgrinds you and arrived to the scene and figured out how to win before you did, yet you've been given a year's head start on that organization.
Yeah, more than a year. But
years.
Yeah, you're right.
Half a decade, probably, of a head start on them.
Before this series, and I'm not going to count the series out yet, but before this series, they had 2 playoff series wins in 24 years since 2000.
Wow.
2. They'd only been in the playoffs 7 times since 2000.
So here's what else it just popped into my head as you went on your little. Now, that was a little tirade for Ray. I mean, the other day, he full bore lost his head. Like going nuts about something with Joel Embiid.
I'll steal a line from my dad.
Days.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. That's a line from every dad. Yeah. Sorry, Ray.
Yeah,
your dad
I know. I'm
really
aware.
But he's the only dad you have.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I even say that to you often.
You do.
Oh.
Yes.
Often. Yeah. Around the 1 o'clock hour, 2 o'clock hour.
So if you look at it, Boston is an organization. Let's just go in the East. You talk about maybe an organization passing the Sixers, being that 6. Group that moves into the 5 group. Well, Boston's in group 1. Okay, yes. Boston's already there. The Knicks look like they may have passed. Can we put the Indiana Pacers there also?
No,
not yet.
Do they look like they're getting ready to? If the Bucks are fully healthy, maybe they're ahead of the Sixers. Also, they just played a game where they didn't have
Bucks got a
either
ring.
Giannis Antetokounmpo or Dame Lillard. Bucks got a ring, right?
Yeah, Giannis has a ring. Like.
Yeah.
Say what you will. Like, the narrative on Giannis will always go back to, well, he won one. Like,
Exactly. It always will go back to that.
If he continues, like he was hurt last year in the playoffs, hurt again this year in the playoffs. If he's hurt again next year, guess what? Conversation will be, wow, that's a real unfortunate way for his career to go down that path. But guess what? He won one.
Yeah.
It's not a what if, because they had the parade.
Yeah.
They celebrated.
And that's the thing. It is a what if for Joel Embiid at this point. It's a what if.
No question. And is like I said, we all started this thing of a phone call I got from a guy yesterday who was a very focused on Joel Embiid and not all that much in the positive way. And I got a call yesterday, and my friends, we don't say hi to each other. It just starts right off. And he started right off with, Embiid's a loser. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. And the conversation went on for about 15 minutes. We agreed at the end, not that he's a loser, but he hasn't proven to be a winner yet. And it started to raise the question of, is that part of this organization? They are not winners yet, and can they become it? Rodney in Mount Airy, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Rod?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Rodney.
Yeah, I'm gonna just get straight to it. The Sixers are weak. They soft. The Sixers organization are a losing. They are completely a losing organization. I mean, when you have a trust the process era to now, they clearly there's no winning mentality in them. I gotta keep it real. I'm gonna just say this: the only thing, whatever happens in this series, the only thing that can help this team, at least one more year, is that Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey has to be on the same page, because I feel as though that they got one more year to convince Embiid to have faith on this team, because I got a feeling if that this off season, I'm not going to say the series is over, because I'm not going to be that fan. We still got a chance, but it don't look good. But whatever happens this series and this off season, if they don't do the best they can to make this team good in the next season, and it becomes a repeating cycle, don't be surprised if Embiid asks for a trade. And I'm gonna say this: everybody barking on Embiid, I get all that, but don't be shocked if Embiid goes to another team and that team ends up being, gets the best out of Embiid that we want to hear, and it makes you think this organization fails again with an Embiid that, I'm just really upset of what's been going on lately.
Hey, Rodney, you're not the only one, and thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. He's not the only one, and that's the question of the day. Is this not a winning organization? Could it turn around? I'll tell you how easy it could turn around. The Sixers, if they came back and won this series and, gets, say, Indiana next series and wins that, you can become a winning organization if you drive this, what looks horrible now, into, say, a finals run. And then you say, whoa, I gained something there. I know how to win in the playoffs now. I meaning like the team, the organization. They know what it takes. That's your beginning of becoming a winning organization. I don't think they have that right now.
They have people that know it. I don't know that the team knows it.
Yeah.
Right? Like Nick Nurse knows it. He knows how to win.
He does.
Kyle Lowry knows it.
Yep.
He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
You have to go back really down the list. You're going to another guy that's had finals experience. You're going down to campaign.
Yeah.
That's it. That, as far as knowing how to win in the playoffs, not a lot on there.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason. But that was one of the positives we talk about. Why do you feel positive about this team going into the playoffs? One of the reasons was, because you have one of the best players in the league, and Joel Embiid, done, check. And you have Nick Nurse, a guy that makes good in-game adjustments, makes adjustments from game to game. We've seen that. And he knows how to win. He knows what it takes. So I think those were the positives. So you try to lean into those when you're thinking about positives right now. That's just not enough right now.
Right.
It's just not enough to get you to the point of yep, no, I feel good.
There's something else that we haven't brought up, and I'm going to bring it up when we get back here. That is kind of egregious when you talk about that Sixers loss yesterday. We haven't even sniffed it out a little bit. I didn't hear it on the morning show, but when I bring it up, I think everybody's going to go, oh, my God, that too, I forgot. All that and a whole lot more. Amy Fadul's here. This is Middays. Bob Cooney on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sorry, we had a button got pushed by accident, so I apologize. Probably my fault.
That's all right.
Yeah, so
I'm going to wear this one. I'm going to say this one's me.
I got fat fingers today. So, tough day. We're talking about Tyrone just came in. I love when he comes in for the first time of the day.
Yeah,
Like, it's like
he's just
we
itching.
have a show in 5
He's
minutes,
itching.
you know?
He's itching.
Yeah, and it's
I
some
get
of the
it,
great,
though. We got to let it out. All these callers need to let it out,
yeah,
too.
and we'll get all to you guys. But the one thing I wanted to bring up of yesterday's game that we did not bring up at all, I didn't hear it on the morning show, although I didn't hear the whole morning show, so maybe they did bring it up. We are getting ready to do midday yesterday, right? And Knicks players are out on the floor warming up. We get the Woj. It wasn't a bomb. I think we called it a fart. Saying about Mitchell Robinson, whether he's going to play or not. So we're like, he's going to play. And it was the thing that Woj said is he's going to go out on the court and try it out and see if he can play. And most of us were like, yeah, I'm sure he's going to play. Boom, we get the thing. He's out. Like, oh, wow, okay. That means, Hartenstein's going to have to battle all by himself. Plays 1 minute yesterday, and Bogdanovich goes down and is out for the rest of the game. Like, you're two of your three biggest subs coming off the bench. One was out. The other one was out after a minute. 1 minute.
1 minute.
And like Tyrone was just saying, how come the Knicks have so many usable players? What was the term he was using? It wasn't
guys
usable.
That can play. Guys that come to play.
Yeah, and the Sixers don't. You had 2 guys out of the 8 that you play, the New York Knicks, out. Can't play. And do they skip a beat?
Yeah, they had two. They basically had two guys in their rotation between Precious Achua and Deuce McBride.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, and Achua wouldn't have gotten those minutes had the other guys been healthy.
Exactly.
He got them out of necessity. It wasn't that they wanted him to be there. It was necessity. They were riddled by injuries yesterday, and the Sixers still couldn't take advantage.
And that's the point. Taking advantage. I keep going back, and I was talking with Ty. I keep going back to the score. The score is the most infuriating thing for 2 reasons. One, it's because the Knicks absolutely dictated how the offense was going to be run for them and how the Sixers' offense was going to be run. That's disturbing to me. This is your home court. This is your chance to take a series to a tie so you have a best of 3. That's what you need to dictate that. You did not. That's irritating. And 2, the fact that it's a 5-point game. There was nobody. The only person that ever pulled away as far as team goes was the Sixers early on. I kind of throw that out because it was the first quarter, but whatever. But there was nobody that pulled away in the actual score. It felt like the Knicks pulled away, but it's a 5-point game. It's a 3-point game. It's a 6. Everything was single digits, and you just could not take advantage. It's the most irritating thing. The game is out there. They're completely hampered by injuries. They're missing their center. They've got nobody over 6'8" out there, and you're not dominating. It's confounding. It's honestly, saying it makes me angry.
And your most dominant player in that third quarter did dominate to the tune of getting 5 fouls on their starting center.
Right.
In 1 quarter. He got 5 fouls on Hartenstein in 1 quarter. So you do that. Uh-oh.
You're thinking good.
Oh.
Ricky came in.
Ricky just came in to get a pen. All right. You do that, so you think, okay, your most dominating player's dominating. Then it comes to fourth quarter, and Jalen Brunson's on the bench.
Also good. Thinking, this is it. This is their chance to really take advantage. That guy has been absolutely crushing them. You knew he would. Take advantage. Nothing.
Nothing.
And that was what Ty was saying. Like, they just have dudes that are out there that are just playing. They just come to play. And I asked him, I was like, I can't decide if it's Sixers are reactionary or they're stagnant or they're just waiting for something to happen, waiting for someone to tell them to do something. Knicks don't have that problem. They just do. And for them, it starts with Jalen Brunson. He is just always going.
And, Amy, you bring up a great point. It just hit me as you said that. I always tried to teach my kids growing up when they were playing sports, and you're probably doing it with Shawnee and Baker. By the time you react, you might be gone. It might not be there anymore. You need to anticipate, or you need to be the one that has to make the other player, team, react. With the Sixers through the years, and this did just pop into my head as you brought that up, they never seem to, when needed, be the team that dictates.
Right.
Like, you know what? We can kill you with Joel Embiid. We're going to do that. It happens once in a while. But like yesterday, the fourth quarter was a perfect time. Go to Embiid and keep going to him until the doors fall off. And they just
And that's
don't.
the thing. So was he, Ty, because I asked, what was the offense doing? I don't know. I'm going to look at it again. I'm going to watch the fourth quarter again because there was just no movement. if he is exhausted, I'm sure he was, 44 minutes, repaired knee. This is a guy that obviously has been working his way back, whatever. Then just post up under the basket and just do that all day.
Yeah.
Get either OG Anunoby or Precious Achua in foul trouble, or get and ones. Don't be running. I don't need you on the perimeter today. I understand that that's how you play. Normally, that's fine. You've played 24 minutes in the second half. You're playing the entire fourth quarter, something you have not done. I'm going to need you to limit your movements, and I'm going to capitalize on that. Just sit down there and post up. I know that's not what you would do normally, but I'm going to need you to do that today because you're exhausted. We need offense because this game is there for the taking. They put it on a silver platter, and you just went ahead and said, no, I want something else.
Yeah, and then you have to start questioning the want because they're getting out, letting up offensive rebounds. All those things come into question, and it just builds on the frustration. But David in Philly, he might have a more positive look. David, you're on 97.5, The Fanatic.
Hey, guys.
Hey, David.
Hey, I'm glad Amy, she kind of touched on exactly what I was going to say. She talked about, the control, excuse me, and how the Sixers allow the Knicks to dictate the flow and the pace of the game and just never seem to be in control. Well, I'm going to take it a step further. It's not even the Knicks. It's just Jalen Brunson. The thing and the reason why we have 3 losses right now is because they allow Jalen Brunson to establish control of the pace, the flow, and the tempo of the game. And they never regain that. And the reason that's really significant is because, number one, it allows them to control the score of the game. If they keep it within a certain frame of control, right, and they play at this slower, more methodical pace, naturally the score of the game isn't going to get out of control. And that plays into their hands because their roster just naturally isn't built with scorers. So they have to do that. And the way you counter that is by speeding the game up and playing at a faster pace because now they'll be forced to have to score. And they just don't have that firepower. They can't keep up by design.
I agree with you, David, and thanks so much for the call. At times when you need the team to play downhill, they just don't seem like they can do it. And what David said about the Jalen Brunson control, that's not something that is just being hit upon us. Like we did, what was it? It was before the series started, I think we had, it might have been the roundtable, where I said, like, look, Jalen Brunson needs to control the game. And if he does that, it's good for the Knicks. Joel Embiid needs to dominate a game.
Right.
They're two different things. And I think I said something to the point of whichever one does it more is probably going to be your winner of the series. Jalen Brunson, he came as close yesterday, Aim, to being the one person that won that game that I've ever seen.
48% of their points came from Jalen Brunson. That's just points.
And he had 10 assists.
Exactly. So then now you're over 50%. 50% from one. And the point of him being, everybody talks about he's the head of the snake. And that's almost like just too simplification. That's too much of a simplification for what he does. He does dictate everything that they do. That's why we talk about how he fits that system. He is a guy, he's not going to run up and down the court with you. And that's why game 3, he did get his points, but the rest of the team is not built for scoring 114. That's just not how the Knicks are. That was 97-92 is like a quintessential Knicks game. But you're thinking, how in the world do you let him do that? How do you let him dictate that? How do you stop it? Is it defensively? Do you run different sets at him? Do you gang tackle him as far as crowd him? Like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? Because you can't let that happen. And they let it happen from the jump yesterday. He set the tone, Brunson did, from the jump. He buried that jumper, and I thought, well, this is not good. This is not good. You could just tell. It was the first quarter in that one. He was on fire, and I thought he's going to get 50.
He had that game yesterday in the palm of his hand from the get-go, and he ended it with a play. I don't know if you remember. He's kind of dribbling to dribble out the clock, and he fakes like he's going to go outside of the lane to the foul line, and then he comes right back in and hits a little.
There.
And I've played against guys like that and watch guys. That is so damn aggravating when they can get wherever they want to go, whenever they want to go. And that's what Jalen Brunson was yesterday. Joe and Fox Chase, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Joe?
Hey, guys. I'm listening. I'm still just so frustrated might not even be the word, but, and Amy, you hit this right on the head. But before I even get to that, is that during the regular season, if I remember correctly, the Knicks only won 3 games more than we did. And we did not have him beat for like 2 months.
Right.
I mean, we clearly are so much better than the Knicks. But it comes down to, you can call it grind, desire, the will. We don't have that guy. I never see, especially in the fourth quarter, I want to see, and this goes to Joel and everybody, to come out and say, you know what, give me that freaking ball. I'm taking over this game. Give me that ball. We don't have anybody. Nobody does that. I remember Michael Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, these guys, give me the ball. Look, if you give it to Joel, and Amy, this is what you said, he's outside shooting 3. Get underneath. And every time down, give him the freaking ball. He's either going to score, he's going to get fouled. It could be a basket and one. I mean, we just don't. And how do you get out rebound 18-8 in the fourth quarter at home? You know what? It's unbelievable to me that this. It really, I hate to say it, I do believe we can win 3 straight. I don't know why. I must be mentally insane.
I love it.
That's all right, Joe.
It's okay.
We love. We
believe it.
We appreciate. Thanks for the call, Joe. We appreciate mental insaneness on this show,
Especially when it
we
leans
exude it.
Yeah, it leans into positivity. That should be our sponsor right there.
Yeah, it very well could be. All right, a lot more of you are just as frustrated as Joe. Want to talk about this Sixers loss yesterday that puts them down in a 3-1 hole. We still have some more thoughts that we haven't even gotten into yet. Maybe you do also. 610-632-0975. Amy Fadul's here with us all day long. Bob Cooney, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back as we approach the 1 o'clock hour here on Middays. Amy Fadul with us all day long. Our ray of sunshine, even though there's a lot of sunshine going on outside.
The whole week, I think, almost is. But today is exceptional sunshine. It's June sunshine.
Today's,
even though it's
it is
April.
because it's like
June.
80-ish, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna go get the car washed today, but I get so frustrated. Like, cause I get to the car today and it's green.
Right, from all the pollen.
I mean, just green. So, you put on the windshield wipers. I'm going to go get it washed today. It's going to be the same way tomorrow. It's going to be green all over again tomorrow.
You could get something called a cover.
I'm not covering my car. I have a tough enough time. Last night I cooked out to remember to put the grill cover back on. You think I'm going to cover my car every day? No chance.
Well, then you can't complain about the pollen on it.
I'm not complaining. It just stinks.
I mean, he did kind of.
Sounds like he's complaining a little bit.
You two team up on me too much. I'm going to...
Sorry.
I tried to say that with a straight face so you'd be like...
I'm trying to help you.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to help you with your car because I know you have bad allergies.
Oh, my God.
And if you're having that much pollen on your car, obviously you're breathing in that. That's no good.
That's so nice you came from a place of caring. I just said it sounded like you're complaining over there.
I just want to try to help.
Amy does care. You know, as a producer, you should care also.
I do care.
I care about you.
Yeah, I
Amy
care
gave
about
you a
too,
place
Bob.
to go in San Diego. I prayed for you all weekend. I looked for you on the TV. I told you, my wife and I looked for you on the Phillies games all weekend long. When they did the little, look, Phillies fans. We're like, where's Ray?
I was waiting for
There was a lot of them.
Yeah, I was waiting for the text, and then I got it. I was very excited that you went there. But not that you had to send me, but I wanted to see when he showed me a pic of his beverage early-ish.
9:30 in the morning? Yeah, that's more than early.
Okay, but I'm an East Coast guy, so that's really
Also,
afternoon.
But certain beverages can be breakfast beverages,
True.
to be honest. And
Yeah.
that one definitely qualifies.
Absolutely.
I'm not a breakfast beverage guy.
What?
I'm not. I don't. Well, I don't drink hard liquor.
Okay, but kegs and
Whoa,
eggs.
whoa. There was no hard liquor involved in my morning.
None of that. No, this was a
clear.
very gentle, nice ease in, I thought.
And Guinness are very light. They're not, people look at them like, oh, it looks like chocolate milk. No, Guinness
I'm
are
sorry, did
very,
you say
very,
they're very light? It's like eating meatloaf.
No, I think Guinness are very, very light. To me, they are. Don't you think,
They
right?
went down pretty easy.
They go down easy.
Yeah.
They fill you up.
Oh, I don't get that from
No?
Guinness. No, I don't. It's funny. And I only started really drinking Guinness a year or so
I don't really
ago,
drink it, I
but-
should say. I've had it over in Ireland, and then I've had it because you had to, right?
Yes.
That's a requirement.
Rite of passage.
And I thought, it was very tasty, but I definitely felt like very full.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Drinking, it has to be a special occasion that I drink beer at like 9:30 in the morning.
Okay. There are
Yeah,
kegs
being
and
out
eggs.
on the
that's
West
the thing.
Coast.
The day ends in Y. Something crazy like that. I don't know. But a lot of Sixers talk going on here. And Danny in Delaware, he's got some frustration happening. Danny, what's going on? You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What is wrong with my phone lines
I don't
today?
know. Did you hang up on him?
Danny.
There he is.
Frank. Hey, Frank, you there?
You guys hear me?
Hi,
yeah,
Frank.
there you go. How you doing, Frank?
Frank in Newtown.
I'm not kidding. That
How are
wasn't
you?
me. All right, go ahead, Frank. What do you got, buddy?
Real quick, so we could hit on all the Sixers players and Embiid, but I think we're just a little bit too reliant on Embiid and Maxey. My thing and my biggest gripe with this is we're getting torched by Nova products that we kind of share an arena with these guys. I would assume we have a good relationship with Villanova, and yet the Sixers have had a reluctance to draft Nova players, draft and keep.
Yeah, there you go. Make sure you put that on there, Frank.
One.
Yeah. So, Bridges would look pretty good. The guy's a local kid. His mom was employed. I know this has been harped on often, but, his mom was employed by the Sixers. I don't know if she still is now, but he would look pretty good on this team. We have no role players. Say what you want to say about Tobias. He shouldn't be a role player with that contract, but we have zero role players, and we just have a reluctance to draft Nova products. And who knows what's going to happen with Nova, with Jay Wright no longer there in the future. But we had a chance to not only draft these guys, but we could have signed, a Hart or even a DiVincenzo in free agency. We signed Lowry about 5 years too late. That's just my take. It kind of kills me to see this happening so close to home.
It's a good point, Frank, and thanks for the call. They could have drafted those guys too, yeah.
And I get his point about, is Nova still going to be that? I think you can find players like that, smart basketball players that are well coached in college and then translate that. UConn certainly has produced a couple of players that I think we're going to fall under that, Danny Hurley, very solid coach, fundamentally sound. Those players are out there. You don't always have to go with the flashy player that, oh, yeah, look at this guy. He's going to give you. Don't overthink it. Sometimes it's right there for the taking. He's a nice 3-and-D player. He looked good in college. Well coached, fundamentally sound, sold.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson lasted until the second round. Yeah, everybody had a shot on him. Ray, you had a thought on Joel Embiid and Jalen Brunson about yesterday. What was that?
Yeah, you guys were talking about just the dominance versus the control of conversation. And I thought for me, at least watch the game yesterday, it was the stretch that started the fourth quarter that really sealed where this one was going for me. I just felt uneasy going into that fourth quarter. I saw Embiid come back out there, and I was like, oh, without Brunson, you see him hobble off. This is the time where they're going for the kill here. This almost felt like the move of, we need this game badly, and we need it so badly that we're going to see whether or not Embiid could do this and dominate here. And in that stretch where Brunson didn't play, the Sixers, their points came from campaign.
Right.
That to me was a pretty damning stretch where it was they weren't able to get anything out of there to make any sort of difference. I think it ended up being they were down by a point still when Brunson gets back into the game, and campaign was the one source of life. And as a Vibesman, love me some campaign, love the energy, love all the great things he brings. That felt like your opportunity. Hartenstein off the floor, 5 fouls. You look at the fact that Brunson is not on the floor, so you have your superstar on the floor. You've got the guy that's hot on the other team off the floor, and the guy that's been guarding your superstar off the floor. That was the time for me where I thought, okay, they're going for the kill here. If they don't get it, we're in a world of trouble,
Right.
and a world of trouble ensued.
Because you played all the cards that you thought you had, right? You played those extra cards, and then all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and thought it was all for nothing.
Yeah.
So Sixers, let me read this, are down 77-76 to begin the fourth quarter. Brunson doesn't come back in until 9:35 to go in the quarter, and it's an 82-81 game. Knicks are winning. You took absolutely no advantage whatsoever. Now, it's a short time frame. You're talking about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but nothing. Nothing came of that, and that's that.
And then you didn't score any points after a while.
No, you
stopped
didn't.
Scoring.
Nope, you stopped scoring. It was all over. All right, when we get back, yes, it's been a frustrating day. What is the most frustrating part of this series? I'm taking out the offensive rebounding by the Knicks. It's too obvious. What is your most frustrating part of this series? 610-632-0975. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Back 1 o'clock hour, middays. How much of the Sixers' frustration leads into your daily life?
I mean, I think because sports are such a big outlet here, and that's why we love it. That's why it's such a great sports team.
Yeah.
Sports town, I should say. I think a lot. I mean, I don't know if it carries over, but you definitely have a different outlook after a loss like that. You wake up in the morning and you think. That's why it was so nice. You mentioned this at the top of the show. It was so nice to walk outside yesterday, and you didn't have to just go home and try to be alone with your thoughts. You could go out and enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
Maybe meet some friends. You know what I mean? If you're going home and it's midnight, you're I'm just going to go home in bed and mire away the gloom and doom.
Yeah, now I'm a little bit different that I get over things. All right, there was the game. I understand the X's and O's. I question this. I question that. Could they have done this? Could they have done that? But deep down, I don't get hurt by these losses like most fans do, like maybe Ray does. I kind of look to go on and try to figure out the prospects of it. What's the big story of it now with this job? What's the talking points of it? But yesterday it did creep in a little. So it gets done. We had plans to go out back, and so we cover all of our outdoor furniture, during the winter.
Right.
To uncover it, clean it, do all that stuff. I love being outside. I love trying to make my backyard look really good because that's where I spend almost all my summer. I was frustrated going out and doing it. Things were frustrating me. I yelled at my wife. I didn't yell at her.
Uh-oh.
So we said to each other, all right, we're going to go outside and clean the furniture. Move the furniture, clean it, and move it. We go out, and she starts dealing with the dog's chain, trying to get it shorter because she wants the dog to be over here. And I'm moving furniture and moving furniture and moving furniture. And I finally, I'm like, what are you doing? I thought we came out here to move furniture, and you're messing with the dog chain. Right away in my head, I'm like, I wanted to punch myself. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like a little sour about that game.
Yeah, you carried over.
And you're taking it out on your poor wife who's just trying to get the dog to poop in the right place. That's all. So, I had this little, what do you call it, epiphany.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
bulb.
oh, my God.
Yep.
For one of the first times that I can remember in a long time, you actually let it affect you, that loss, a little bit.
It was a tough one.
It was a bad one. It wasn't good. Is it the most frustrated you've been during the series?
No.
It's a fair question.
No.
Ray's not sure.
No.
You're not sure.
No.
Game two was Ray. Game two's for Ray.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I ever came back.
I mean, I think
I never came
back. I think I'm still a little dead
maybe
inside.
Because the frustration level is higher for Game 4 because of the way that it went down, because the effort wasn't there. Game 2, you thought they should have won that game, right? They should have won that. They played well enough. Everything went their way. There was obviously things that could have gone better, but you thought you weren't they gave a good effort. The effort was there. You didn't come away with that thinking that team got completely outplayed. And I don't know that I had that sentence in my head after Game 4 yesterday.
Was yesterday the first game they really lost?
Probably.
Game 1 could have gone either way.
Which is crazy because they got crushed on the boards in Game 1, but they were still in it, right?
Yeah.
They were still in it.
Yeah. Oh, they were absolutely still in it.
And they were in yesterday's game. It never felt like they were. Not late.
Yeah, even when they got up to 10, I think
good.
if I'm not mistaken, DiVincenzo hit 1. Maybe it was Brunson that hit another 3, and all of a sudden 10 goes to 4 real quick, and they show the Knick fans, and here it comes, and you can just feel it. And you're waiting, all right, you need a stopper here. Who doesn't? I think the Sixers did come down and hit a couple of clutch threes. Payne hit 1. I think Oubre hit another one. But you're right, Aim. It wasn't that I feel good about this game. Yeah, it just wasn't. Everybody's getting out their frustrations today, and that includes Derek in Philly. Derek, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Yeah, my frustration is a couple of things. First, I'm glad I didn't hear Tobias' name more than 5 times. It was a combination of we got Buddy Hield to come in here and shoot. Since he's been here, he haven't done any of that. The coaching, and I think they lost it where Embiid was on the bench in that second quarter. They was up 10, and he let that lead go down again. If you got a lead, leave them in there early so you can build it, and then at the end of the game, you don't have to try to get him to do too much. And we great get Maxey $300 million easy, but he should have gave you 35. We don't get on the guys like we should. And it was a combination of everything. So that they got let down when that lead was lost again in the second quarter, like always. Don't leave him on the bench when he's in the groove and they building. Leave him in there. I don't understand what's going on with the coaching, but I like Nick Nurse. I wouldn't get rid of him, but
You know, the other guys got to step up. That's that. That's
yeah,
that.
they do.
that's been the
And
theme.
thanks so much for the call, Derek. Appreciate it. But the leave them in there part is kind of hard. Like Embiid went 44. Maxey went 43. Oubre went 40.
They were left in there.
You know,
gotta
Tobias went 34. Your one sub, that Nick Batum went 21. I mean,
They were left in.
yeah, they were left in. You know, there were a couple times yesterday, and I don't know if you felt this way. I did feel Maxey could have created a little bit better, a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit of there was some deference, which I don't know that I had seen. And
Yeah.
and maybe that was a carryover from Game 3, where it was like, all right, Embiid's going to cook, and I'm going to be the secondary guy. And at some point, somebody needs to. No, we're going to need you to be the A number one.
Yeah, and like if you see an advantage, take it. Like there
Go
was a
with-
couple times he stepped back, and I was like, okay, he's going to launch, but he didn't.
There was a
Step back,
hesitation.
and yeah, exactly. And you have to give some credit to the New York defense because there wasn't a whole lot of openings for Tyrese Maxey yesterday.
And they knew that. I think that they crowded the lane. Even when he would make his patented drives in, there was a lot more physicality in that front. As far as trying to bob and weave through it, we've seen him do that.
Yeah.
And he would miss at the rim, and he would have some frustration. He does the signature, and they didn't call it. They let him play. We talked a lot about the refs after Game 2. I feel like they haven't come in too much of a play. You can, if you're a Knicks fan, they came into too much play, I think, in Game 3. But I thought it was like, all right, well, they're just going to let him play. You have to adjust then to that. You have
Yeah.
to adjust to that.
Yeah, no question. Michelle in Brookhaven, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Michelle?
Hey, how are you doing on this beautiful Monday morning?
Doing great, thank you.
Great. Amy, I think you touched on it. Bob, I think you all touched on it all day long. The same things that they've been doing throughout the season is relevant right today. They didn't rebound in regular season, especially offensive. They did not. They had these lulls in the second, usually the beginning of the fourth quarters in their games during the regular season. This stuff is all relevant now in the playoffs. We sit back and say, well, we're on paper a better team than the Knicks. They are not. Reason number one is they don't rebound, and they haven't done it in 3 to 4 years. So why are we expecting this now? The most blaring thing to me right now is the fact that we have no bench, really. We never had. We haven't had one in another 3 to 4 years. So we as fans are sitting back in, what would you call it, delusions, thinking that these things are going to get better. We haven't had a hustler out there on the court in forever. We haven't had a legitimate point guard. Do not count James Harden. Stop counting him because we gave away too much. The biggest thing that we have missing is you have no backup center, and we never fixed it. We don't want to draft them. We don't want to find them somewhere. We just don't do it. And then you play a man that's on a torn leg that's been in surgery and expect him to rebound. How is he going to rebound? You play him 43 minutes, the whole second half. You're scared to bring in a waste like Obama. You're scared of Paul Reed, who's really only 6'8" and really is only a power forward, if that. And you expect to win games. I don't understand it. How do we expect to win games?
Yeah,
The
all
biggest
great.
thing-
All great points, Michelle. Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the backup center thing is real.
Yeah.
I mean, before the playoffs started and we were talking about positives, negatives, or whatever, and that came up, I poo-pooed it a little bit, and maybe wrongfully so, because Joel Embiid is going to play 40 minutes in a playoff. He's going to play 38 minutes. You really only need that backup for 8 to 10 minutes. But if it hurts you to the tune of -8 when that guy's in there, or maybe even more during a game,
I said it.
I was wrong.
You're looking at a -38 going into that game when he
Yeah.
hadn't been on there.
Yeah, and, the going the full 24 minutes of the second half, okay. Look, if we're going to complain about load management and all that stuff, if I need a guy to go 44, he's got to go 44.
Exactly. So then you have to scheme things you can hide out how tired he is, right? I don't need you moving all around. You don't need to be near the baseline because your legs are obviously not there. Okay, post up. Draw a couple of fouls. They did that late, under 5 minutes to go, but at that point, they just didn't feel good.
No, and it goes to what I said, Aim, before. It's like when you're looking to Sixers to impose their will on a team, now look, I'm saying this after Embiid went for 50 in Game 3, but it doesn't seem like they do it as much as the opposition does it to them. And no better time in that fourth quarter after Embiid did what he did in the third quarter to get Hartenstein to get 5 fouls in a quarter. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that. and then he does't post up against a smaller opponent in the fourth quarter.
And you're tired, and you're working on the end of your rope as far as like your energy level.
I get it.
I feel like you didn't have to do that much to draw those fouls.
That frustrates me, though.
Yeah.
So let's look at that fourth quarter. You had 3 reviews in the fourth quarter. We all know how long they take.
Some of them take a really long time.
So that's like an extra 3 timeouts. You have each team probably called at least 2 timeouts during that fourth quarter. Like, if you can't get a burst of energy to play 4 straight minutes, because that's probably as long as a stretch will go with all those stoppages, like, are we really talking about being tired here in the fourth quarter?
Get a rebound.
That's all. Now,
rebound.
It was obvious. I think somebody brought it up. I don't think it was you, Wayne, but a caller saying that people were just jumping over Embiid, and it wasn't so they couldn't call over the top fouls because they were simply jumping over him.
Anunoby and Achua, who were 4 and 5 inches shorter than he is, were out. They were out jumping him, so there couldn't have been an over the back because it's obviously physics of that don't work out for them.
He can't jump. And it's nothing to do with the leg injuries or anything. He never has been able to jump. He's never had that power above the rim game. That's not who he is. And I don't know if it was the foot thing when he first came here, if it's just something different, like, playing soccer growing up. You're not doing a lot of jumping there. He didn't play basketball till he was 16. He's look, one of the, I don't want to say faults, but one of his traits is he's not a great jumper.
No, he's not a guy that crashes the boards. People have talked about what about the Andre Drummond trade that fell through and whatever else. The Bulls are the ones that pulled out of that. They didn't want it. It wasn't enough, and you can't leverage everything for a backup center for half a year. I get that. It comes out glaring now because you're thinking it would have been really nice to have a guy that could come in and maybe he doesn't get you anything offensively. But Andre Drummond, that's one thing he does do is he does rebound.
Yeah,
but it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
Is it so much Paul Reed in the backup in these minutes? Or because to me, and this might be something I have to go back and watch again, but when I watch them offensively with him off the floor, I'm more disappointed in the way they've schemed up anything offensively than I am disappointed in necessarily the Paul Reed specific. Like, I'm not saying that I think he had a good game yesterday. I think particularly if I had to pick a game where I've watched Paul Reed in this series that I didn't enjoy, yesterday might be the one that sticks out. Right. But overall, this series, we're talking about the plus minus with Embiid off the floor. To me, it's more, wow, you guys went 2 months without this guy on the floor, and we don't have anything offensively that it works without him. We haven't found one thing that worked from that time for 5 minutes.
You still didn't figure it out.
That's more the concerning thing for me in those backup center minutes. And it's not, again, that I think Paul Reed's played to an exceptional level, but I think it's been so exceptionally bad in watching them offensively trying to go through any sort of flow that I get more upset that you had 2 months without the big man. We don't have 5 minutes worth of good play that we could put out there on the floor without him.
And it's interesting because they had all that time to kind of create something, and at the whole time they were also scheming ways to use the new players. When Joel Embiid, every time we went out to practice, Nick Nurse would say, yeah, we're working with the assumption that he is coming back. We're going to start, we've got plays that we're going to be working on with him and Buddy Hield and Kyle Lowry, how that's all going to work together. So they had planned ahead. So it is kind of a little bit confusing as to how it was so poor.
Yeah, I go back to what somebody told. I don't think I was alone. I think there was more people here. That somebody told us that at one point a Sixers practice was stopped because they were applauding that Paul Reed remembered to play.
Oh, no.
Like, I mean, that was last year when he was coming back and forth from Delaware. Was it last year he was coming back and forth, the year before mostly?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, because last year he got the big contract.
Yeah, and that was part of it. But the point was being made. So we're talking about not designing stuff that can work when he's in there. I don't know. That might be part of the problem. I don't know. That was a story that was told to us. I know it wasn't just me individually. It was somebody else here at the station. But, whatever. I don't know. It all leads to the beginning of it. You need a better backup center, A, because it's not working for you now, and B, you just have to anticipate Embiid's going to miss time. Yeah, 2 more months this year. Had they had a viable backup center, maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't have found themselves in the 7 seed and so on and so forth and all of those things that go with it. So, George in Trenton, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, George?
So, how you guys doing?
Great.
Hi, George.
So, I'm going to call. I'm not a Knicks fan, not a Sixers fan. Unfortunately, I'm a New Jersey Nets fan, and there'll always be New Jersey to me. But I do go to a lot of Sixers games, Philly games, and so forth because I'm from the area. And I got 2 points. One from a player aspect. You talk about Embiid. When he fell over, I think it was Brunson in the fourth quarter when he kind of tripped over. Remember that play?
Yes.
And he stepped on his leg?
Yeah, he stepped on his leg.
That was Josh Hart, yeah.
Yeah,
that was it. He was never the same. I mean, he went to the foul line, but he couldn't. I mean, he went to the rim that one play. He missed the easy shot. He was definitely not the same after that play, and he was already hurt to begin with. So going forward, I don't know what it is. But you know what really got me when I was at the game yesterday?
What's that?
And I go a lot of games. I'm going to this game, but I go to a lot of Sixers games. I could not believe how many New York Knicks fans were in the building.
Yeah.
I'm talking about noticeably.
It was like 45, 55.
And I've never seen that. I've been going to Philly games a lot, especially Philly playoff games, how Philly fans pride themselves on, because they always got the little brother syndrome in New York to begin with. I've never seen that many, especially for a playoff game. I thought that was a little embarrassing for the Philly fans, for them to allow the New York Knicks to come in and take over their games, take over their tickets.
There was an awful lot of them. George, thanks so much for the call. An awful lot of them there yesterday,
Listen,
and they all sat together. It seemed like they were all in pockets.
They all found the tickets on whatever secondhand site they could find them on. They can't get into the Garden. As I mentioned, they've only been in the playoffs 7 times in 24 years. They're ready to go, right? They're ready. There was people saying, "Oh, we're a better basketball team." Well, you've been clamoring for it because you've had years and years and years. I mean, they were mired in it. It's much more cost effective for them to drive down. And you also have to remember a lot of people, because I saw a lot of, it was mostly, I feel like we saw, cause where we are, we can see the people driving in, a lot of Jersey plates, obviously, but Pennsylvania plates too. And it reminded me, a friend of mine who used to live in New York for the longest time, they moved to Doylestown, and a lot of people left the city. So there's a lot more fans around here, Bucks County type of, just over the line, I feel like, too.
Yeah, there was an awful lot sitting there. I like to do that when we do the pregame show. I like to look outside, see what's happening, see who's coming up. Yeah, 55-45 might be about it. Now, the previous game, I was thinking like 65-35, maybe 70-30, Sixers fans over Knicks fans, but it seemed to grow intensely yesterday. Danny, I think I did a fat finger earlier, so I'm glad you held on. Danny in Delaware, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hi, can you hear me?
I got you, buddy.
Danny.
I've been a Sixer fan for a while. Yesterday game 2 was bad, but yesterday just as bad. I don't know why. I think we're going to come back and win the next game. Maybe that's just being a Sixer fan. But what's puzzling to me, how come it seems like we can't get to the line? We need to be the aggressor. I feel like we didn't get any guys trying to create free throws. Like, we settle for too many threes. There was a play in yesterday's game where Maxey was down on the other end, chased down a loose ball, and he settles for a 3, and it was just one guy back. He should have took him off the dribble. Why?
I yelled at that play because I didn't like it also, Danny. It just didn't seem in the flow of the game.
Right. Yeah, so I think a lot of times part of the issue is we're not being aggressive. We're not putting the ball on the floor and trying to create free throws. And this, I don't get that.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I mean, the Sixers went to the foul line 29 times yesterday.
Yeah,
they went 25 for 29 from the line compared to 26 times for the Knicks. And you have to remember, I would say 10 of those times for the Knicks, or 8 at least, were because the Sixers were fouling them trying to stop the clock.
Yeah. A lot. I think you're looking at, we're going to have recency bias on this one. You're going to look at the fourth quarter and think things that happened for the entire game. And I feel like that's it. In the fourth quarter, when you're wanting to, Joel Embiid to really kind of work those smaller guys, the Anunoby and the Achua guys, as far as like having that small ball lineup, that's when you're wanting to him draw a couple more fouls.
Yeah.
You got all the fouls that you could in the third when Hartenstein got into foul trouble. Let's keep it going.
I would have beat the tires off of that.
Just keep. Why did you go away from that?
Why change it?
Well, did not run dry on that. Those guys are absolutely going to foul you. That's one thing. Everybody, all national people, all outside of Philadelphia. Oh, and even Tom Thibodeau. We played it on here. What do they call him? A free throw monger?
Yeah.
They know what he's going to do, yet you can't stop him. That's always my thing when people say, like, oh, Joel Embiid. I'm like, who? You know what he's going to do, and yet you still don't stop him. He shot 19 for 21 in the 50-point game, and he shot 12 for 14. Why not keep going?
Yeah, I agree with you. That was
fourth quarter. So I get what he's saying. I think going to the line in the fourth maybe is more
Yeah,
what he's
maybe.
talking about.
Okay,
3
yeah.
for 5 in the fourth quarter.
Right, exactly. So, all right, when we get back, a lot of people holding on, a lot of friends on the line. So stay tuned. We'll get to you on that one. This is Middays. Amy Fadul and the Sunshine is here today. Bob Cooney, Middays, 97.5, The Fanatic. welcome back. 1:30. We got another half hour to go before they turn the lights out on us. But then they'll turn them back on for the best show ever. Yeah, so you got Tyrone and Ricky and Jen are all here, ready to rock and roll. I can just see the sparkle. Ricky came barging in here during the middle of one of our segments, which is kind of like an unwritten rule that it's kind of written like you don't barge into a studio.
There was a big red sign that says on air.
Yeah, there's that. So I thought he was going to grab a mic and add something.
Well, it seemed like he had something to say, and so we both look up because he comes right between us.
Yeah, and grabs a pen and walks out.
There's no other pen cup anywhere else.
No, there's no pens in this whole office area. You have to come in studio in the middle of a show. So Ricky's like,
Ricky.
you can tell
he's amped up.
Oh, he's the best. And then Tyrone comes in. First segment when he was here, and he comes in, I feel like we did a whole show in like the 4 or 5 minutes that we were on break. So everybody's ready to rock and roll. I can see the disappointment in Jen's eyes. It's tough for her. So
she came in here, was like very upset. I almost felt like I needed to give her a hug or something to console her. No, not upset with me. Not yet. It's a Monday. I'm going to do something Netflix this week to make someone upset around here. But it's early for me. I haven't been around. Everyone had a nice break from me. Right now, it's nice to see me.
You were gone one day.
Which, for a lot of people around here, has them concerned.
All Thursday, it was like, oh, you're leaving me. People must have been panicked that they thought you were leaving.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
You know, the two of you might want to stop, Art. I swear to God. I haven't teamed up on you with Amy or with Amy on you yet.
That was the same thing. You just described the same thing.
I know what I did. Whatever.
Exactly.
1 o'clock hours brought to you by Ferguson HVAC, Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies. For every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. One of the first tweets we got of the weekend, you replied to it, I think. Didn't the guy say something like this is, so it was raining in San Diego on Friday night, and Ray puts out the tweet like, can't believe it. I come to a Phillies game, and it rains for the first time ever in San Diego, something like that.
Yeah,
somebody replies back to him and says, that's what you get for abandoning Bob. And what did it say, and quitting or something?
Yeah, for quitting your job and abandoning Bob Cooney.
Yeah.
So, apparently word on the street around here was that I quit. Shocked everyone. I came back today. The West Coast was great, but it's good to be home.
Must be nice. I got to tell you, I was just happy to get out for a couple hours on Saturday. Ray goes to the West Coast and
for a nice weekend.
He does exactly what he wants to do. Same. Do you have a confidence level at all for tomorrow night, or is it too soon?
Yeah, ask me tomorrow. I
will, because you're going to be here all day tomorrow.
That's right. I'm here all day tomorrow and all day Wednesday. I feel not terrible. Is that good?
No.
Okay. I mean, I don't feel great, but I don't feel awful. As far as my confidence level, I'm like a middle of the road. Where were you the other day? You were like the middle of.
I had a sideways thumb.
Okay. I haven't decided whether I'm going down or up. You don't know if the lion's going to eat me in the Coliseum or not yet.
Right. Like if you go to one of your kids, how do you feel? And they say not terrible. I don't know if I look at that as.
Or I feel that's probably I feel okay, not terrible, but not great.
Okay.
I would try to figure out what was wrong, or I would just say you can figure it out.
I don't think I can look to tomorrow yet.
I'm not there yet.
I'm not. I think tonight, we have to work on your laughing. I swear to God, it's either he's a silent laugher and you don't know what's going on, or he's laughing his ass off, but he doesn't smile when he's doing it.
You try to judge from the eyes, but you can't tell.
Yeah, and they're still a little glossed over from the weekend anyway, if we're going to be honest.
I was just laughing. I feel awful is where I was going with that.
You do? So so I feel not terrible, but I don't feel great. But I think I'll get to be a better place tomorrow. You're just going to be at the terrible?
It's going to take a bit. It's going to take a bit. Right. I feel pretty bad right now.
Well, Amy, you had a pretty good line during the break. And I started the show by asking today, are the Sixers a winning organization? Because there's recent hints that say not only no, but they might just be a losing organization. Like they don't know how to win games that they could, would, should. They just haven't gotten over that hump. But you had a good analogy during the break of this coming game.
Yeah, we were talking about Game 5, and then if they win Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7, and it had the air of what if they come out flat?
What if it's Boston Game 7 all over again?
That's the first thing I thought of, because They thought they had it in Game 6. They didn't. And their mentality, and I don't think that anybody can argue that. We all watched Game 7 in Boston last year. That team did not want to be there. Overall, I think they were led by a non-winning player in James Harden. If that's a hill that I need to die on, go ahead. I don't think a lot of people are going to argue with me on that one. But that team just looked at it like, well, we're going to go into Boston. We're going to give it our best, and it's not going to be good enough. They had that losing mentality going into that, and I hope it's not that. I don't think it is because I think you've gotten rid of some of that, but it can permeate through an organization where you're going up to the Garden where you did not win. Technically, you're 0-2 there. I know everybody can look at Game 2 as a win because you played well enough to win. You should have won that game. You did not. But now you're dealing with a Knicks team that's rolling. You got Jalen Brunson absolutely rolling. That's going to be the medal of that game will be found in the third and fourth quarter.
And, we talk about winning mentality. They've played each other 6 times this year.
Not
the
going well.
Knicks have won 4 of them. They kind of know what it takes to beat the Sixers, it seems like. My man Biscuit in Philly is on the Fanatic. Biscuit, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how you doing? I saw you at the game.
I pointed to you yesterday, but we weren't on break, so I couldn't come over and say hello to you.
Yeah, and I was trying to meet up with some friends.
Okay.
Listen, I just want to piggyback on one of the callers, Michelle. She was so on point on every point that she made. We are soft when it comes to rebounding. Nobody plays defense. You expecting a miracle out of Embiid that has one leg. I know he get hurt a lot. I hear everything, but it's just not fair. And then you go to that home game. You was there. It felt like you was at a Knicks game. There was so many Knicks fans there.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was bad.
It was embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
Very embarrassing.
Were you among them, Biscuit? Was there a lot of them sitting around you?
Yes. I got up and sat back where you were. When y'all had packed up and left, I went back and watched it on it because I couldn't take it.
Oh, you went and watched it on the TV in the concourse.
Man, I'm in section 106. I'm almost on the floor.
Right.
I said, let me get up out of here, man.
Oh, that's
wow.
Wow, they chased Biscuit away.
You can't be chasing Biscuit away.
Listen
Biscuit,
here,
you got to stand your ground.
We got a problem. We got a problem now.
Yeah, man, that was bad.
Biscuit, thanks for the call. Hopefully I see you on Thursday night if it comes down to that. Much appreciated. I guess our board's freezing up. Is that what it is, Ray? Because stuff just doesn't seem to be happening here.
When you're punching?
Yeah, I'm punching, but
happening.
it just ain't being punched. But, as far as tomorrow night goes, I can't. I just honestly, I can't go there yet. I'm not that I'm upset or mad or anything like that. I'm still dissecting yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm in the mental frame yet to really look ahead. I have to look at a couple of things, and I want to hear a little bit more about, all right, what is the game plan? There was no practice today. It was a travel day.
Yeah.
I think there's probably, I'm sure they would have some kind of
I'm sure they're up in New York doing something.
There's no way they're not doing something. But I feel like I need to get a little bit more information. And maybe I just need to watch a little bit more closely that fourth quarter to see where it went wrong.
I couldn't do it last night.
Yeah, it's tough. It was tough. We broke down some of it, but it was tough to watch again.
I had it planned. That's what I was going to do. The family goes to bed, and I'm up all by myself. And I'm like, all right, this is the time. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to watch that fourth quarter all over again. Now I'll watch the whole game again probably tonight, depending on – I haven't looked at the schedule for things that are on tonight. I know there's NBA and NHL playoffs tonight, but I probably will. I'll probably watch the whole game over again. Malik, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Malik, what's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing? Shout out to Michelle. Michelle, the previous caller.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what she's talking about. Great points there. But let me say this: what you mentioned, Bob Cooney, that if a player has to play 44 minutes, they should, but not in the case of a 7'1", 280-something pound guy who's coming off a meniscus tear, also has Bell palsy.
Look, it's tough. You're right, Malik. It's tough, but all I was saying was he was out there for the 12 minutes of the fourth quarter. There was a lot of breaks there, so we have to look at that also.
Yeah, but I thought that Nick Nurse made a huge mistake, and it came back to bite him when he took that kind of gamble. You got to play a Mo Bamba if Paul Reed. I mean, you played him all season. I know it's the playoffs, but give me 2-3 minutes. And you need him to be fresh down the stretch. That was a terrible decision by him, and he needs to be called out on that. Not only that, he got out-coached pretty much. Another thing, in reference to the Sixers being a terrible organization, it has been that since the days of Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley up into Joel Embiid. They're not a winning organization. They make terrible decisions in the draft, player personnel, even the front office mistakes. They just can't get it right. So, yes, they are a losing organization. It's a shame. Embiid don't deserve it. They have yet to build a really quality team around them. And yet the city want to pounce on Joel Embiid. I mean, we go from exhilaration, 50 points, and then he doesn't do enough. Well, last time I checked, it's not a he, it's a we that wins. You have to have a team around the guy, no matter how great they are. And the problem with the Sixers is they rely on Embiid's greatness too much. He got to get the rebound. He got to do this. That's why the numbers don't lie. They said in his 11 losses, in a matter of only 31 minutes, they're minus 67, and he's a plus 161. You tell me what other team relies more on a star player than the Sixers.
No, great points, Malik. Appreciate the call. Great points. But, yeah, you can argue that, sorry, I can't have 1 point from that superstar in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I can't have one rebound. I can't have 0 for 5 shooting. Like, I can't have him not turn invisible.
2 games this series, he's been 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So that's where my issue is. People that know me know that I think Joel Embiid is a tremendous player, one of the best basketball players I've certainly have ever seen. The way that he plays the game, tremendous. But and I guess his point was, like, you can't rely on him. Well, at some point you have to. And in the same breath, you're saying Jalen Brunson is that guy. He single-handedly won them that game. There's no question about it. You can't. 10 assists and 47 points. I mean, that's accounting for over 50% of their. It's just remarkable. But yeah, it happens. It just happens against Embiid, and that makes it tough because he is such a gifted player.
Yeah, Malik makes great points. Like, if there's fingers to be pointed, 9 of them should go elsewhere if one's going in Embiid. But at the same time, like Amy brought up, there's only 4 players that have gone 0 for 5 in 2 different games in the same series in the fourth quarter. Like, wanting more isn't a bad thing. I understand all that he does.
Well, I think Embiid wants more. It's not like he's not proud of himself for going 0 for 5.
No, of course, no.
I don't think he looked, well, I tried my best. I think he knows that.
Yeah.
He was obviously gassed.
Yeah, it was odd. Karate Mark, the most optimistic Sixers fan there is. What do you say, Karate Mark?
Ill timing on that last statement, Bob.
You're not optimistic today, huh?
Man, honestly, I am crushed. I got 2 simple questions for you, and then I have 2 things that I just absolutely cannot get over. Question number 1, how many people on an NBA roster?
15.
15 right now.
I
thought you were going to keep going. I apologize.
No, perfect. About or exact, how many coaches on an NBA roster?
Sixers seem to have about 4 dozen.
Excellent. So out of 5 dozen people, not one person looked at the clock with 5-6 minutes left on the clock, and they decided to play in desperation as if there's 30 seconds left on the clock. They're passing the ball from the top of the key to the corner, back to the top of the key to the corner, shooting up desperation threes. Meanwhile, the other team has got like 16 players with 5 fouls. Take the ball to the hoop. You get a guaranteed 2 points. We're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league. Get the 2 damn points. They're shooting desperation threes like they're rookies, and they don't know what they're doing. The second thing, I cannot get over this because the Knicks, minus Jalen Brunson, the Knicks tried their hardest to just let us win. They tried so hard to let us win. Josh Hart decided, I don't feel like making any threes today. And what we're going to do, we're going to get 4 offensive rebounds in a row in the fourth quarter. And this dude McBride, he doesn't even know what's going on. He's so excited that his team got 4 back-to-back offensive rebounds that he just chucked up another 3, airballed it. He had no idea he had an extra 15 seconds left. This is just rookie basketball. And the Sixers, you know what they made me say? It's because I'm doubling down on last week when I said they're the better team. I'm doubling down on that. And you know what? Now I got to say some amateur stuff. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
You say that to grade schoolers before they go to high school.
Right.
Sixers, give me one more game. Just please win. I got no expectations second round. I just want one more game. Bring it back to Philly, please.
All right, Mark, thanks so much. Boy, the frustration is certainly there with Mark, and understandably so. All right, I'm running late here. Got to take a break. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back as we are about to wrap things up here, but I can't let today get away without telling you about our Mother's Day giveaway. If you head to 975thefanatic.com to enter for a chance to win $2,000 for Mom in the Mother's Day nationwide contest. It's sponsored by Pilates Florist. Make Mom's Mother's Day special with the beautiful flowers from Pilates Florist. Now with 3 locations to serve you, visit Pilates, Polites, florist.com. There it is, Aim. No flowers yesterday for anybody, as unless you were putting it on, some people may say, the grave of the Sixers, because this series may be over.
We're not
maybe
there
yesterday.
yet.
No, we're not there yet, but I understand people that come out with, there's no chance, there's no way. All I'll say is, and we talked about this before the show, you've had 4 games in this series that could have gone either way. Probably the most dominating win was the 50-point game by Embiid. If you're a Knicks fan, you say, oh, well, they needed 50 for Embiid, from Embiid just to get. If you're a Sixers fan, you say, yeah, well, they should have won game 2 because that was taken away by 2 tough calls. Sixers could be up 3-1 in this series. It could at least be 2-2.
At least be 2-2.
So that's what you're holding on to if you're a Sixers believer. I haven't heard as much of what I thought, and maybe we'll get it tomorrow. I don't know. And Amy will be with us all day again tomorrow. Can't wait.
Thank you.
But we haven't heard a lot of this is done.
I think people are they're not ready to go there yet. I think that they're disappointed, but I feel like they're okay. Well, anything could happen because of how they've won. The Knicks have won the games. You know that you can win at the Garden. I feel like that's a prevailing thought process. Like, okay, I don't know that the series is dead, done, and signed, sealed, delivered. I don't know that people think that. I think there's a lot of disappointment though.
And that's another kick in the butt from yesterday. Is now the Knicks definitely know they can win here.
Yeah.
They did it during the regular season, but that was regular season. They took one yesterday.
They stole it. And the Sixers did not even think about taking it. And that's what's why it's so frustrating. The game was there for the taking, and they decided to not take it.
Yeah, and they had one play. I never thought I'd come out of this series, except for maybe Joel Embiid, and say one player absolutely won that game for that team. Well, that was Jalen Brunson yesterday. The fact that Josh Hart, who on the pregame show I deemed as the second best player in this, what I said yesterday, in order for the Sixers to win, that the 2 Sixer stars of Embiid and Maxey had to outplay the 2 players that I deemed the New York 2 best players in Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Jalen Brunson beat Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid and that whole Sixers team pretty much on his own.
That's why the fourth quarter was so emblematic. Brunson had 9 in the fourth. Joel and Tyrese combined for 6.
Wow. Yeah. There it is in a nutshell. So frustration abound. That's where we are right now. But they'll get back at it tomorrow night, and that game will be that's a 7 o'clock game, I believe, tomorrow night, Madison Square Garden.
7 o'clock.
Okay, so we'll have a pregame here tomorrow night from 6 to 7. It'll be myself, D. Lynam, and is it my twin cousin?
It is.
Yes. My twin cousin, my twin identical cousin, Kevin Cooney. Yes, we will be on these airwaves for an hour to take you into Sixers basketball at 7 o'clock as they try to dig into the 3-1 deficit, if at all possible. Amy, thanks so much once again for being here today.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you
Love
tomorrow.
It. Can't wait for tomorrow. We'll be back with you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Don't forget, coming up, best show ever, Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen coming up right now. Have a great one, everybody.